everyone, and welcome to another episode of I Got Gameplay! Aha! Tonight is episode 44, and it's a rather special episode, as you know, because we usually air at 8 p.m, but today we're airing at 11 p.m, and there is a reason for that. Shall we tell you the reason? Let Miguel tell you the reason. Miguel, tell him the reason.
Huh? What? Oh, we've got a very special guest.
Guess, Travis?
What? No, I'm totally listening. We've got a special guest tonight. We've got from the Happy Console Gamer, Mr. Rob Man.
And we also have someone who's on the show a couple of times before, and is back for this episode. We have Mr. Xander, Skullion. Xander, how's it going?
Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be on tonight.
I'm literally, in wrestling terms, I'm marking out. I'm waiting for Rob Man to be on. He said he's going to be on a little bit late, guys and gals. So while we're getting that on, I'm going to introduce you to the other hosts. And also, we're going to do a little bit of a news segment. I did say that that might not happen, but we are going to do a bit of a news segment before Rob Man comes on. As soon as he comes on, get on the line with your questions, of course, on 760-512-7247. That's 760-512-7247. Or you can contact us using the Skype button above the player. So either way, guys, you've got both options there as well. If you don't want to, strain your wallet out, you can always just basically go on the Skype caller, call us from Skype, and we will take your calls. We have helping us today, Mr. Mike Paden, who's on with us, and he will be helping taking the calls while we do the other stuff. Now, let's introduce everybody else, of course, for the show. Today we have Mr. Miguel Leon, who has hosted a couple of I Got Gameplays. He's Mr. 90s Kid as well from Fanboys Anonymous. And he also did an episode of Smark Out Moment Smack Talk for me, because yesterday I just didn't do the show because I was sleeping. You know, Brits and their sleep. So Miguel, how are you today?
I'm alright. I'm a little upset. I failed at cooking, so I'm kind of just waiting for to eat up. But other than that, I'm doing alright. I got some stuff done earlier today. Got some cleaning done. But, you know, I'm here. It's 11 o'clock. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm willing to take a lump for the show and share my 2 cents in on today's topic. Because we do have a topic as well, folks.
Of course, and he's just waiting for Rob Man as well.
What's up, Internet Wrestling community? This is Anthony Mango of SmarkOutMoment.com, a wrestling website dedicated to the smart marks like you and I. We break down and review every pay-per-view with predictions and spoilers, and you can catch our weekly podcast on YouTube for some smack talk. There's no rules here, and we show no mercy. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment, where we analyze all the angles, shoot first, and kill kayfabe. That's www.smarkoutmoment.com. Why mark out when you can smark out?
And also we have Mr. Rose-Coloured Reviews himself, Mr. Travis Goss with us. So Travis, what are you up to today? What have you been doing?
Actually, a couple hours ago, I was busting out some Yoshi's Island and also doing a lot more research for this upcoming episode of Rose-Colored Reviews, and we'll talk about that here a little later on.
Now, hold on. Quick, now, is this genuine Yoshi's Island? Is it the SNES cart, the GBA cart, or an emulator?
No, this is the real deal. I'll tell you this much.
Gameplay never actually talk about emulators or pirating and stuff like that, because we don't, do that sort of...
We don't support that, no.
Yeah, no, and anyone who does, Miguel, is just a Nazi. Only Miguel.
Screw you, Earthbound is expensive.
Not if you get it on the Wii shop on the Wii U, but that's...
I don't have a Wii, and I want to add it to the list of upcoming games, and I couldn't find a copy that wasn't $200, so I was like, screw it, it's the research, trust me, if I could get a copy of it, I would. But
I have a copy.
Well, good for you. I'm sure in the UK it's not $200. I'm sure they printed a 3-to-1 ratio over there on the PAL version. Over here it was
birthday.
Yeah, over here it was a very limited game, unfortunately. And it's unfortunate because that game is actually pretty good so far. I'm really digging it. It's long. I've only just now gotten to the point where I've saved Paula.
The only thing that annoys me about Yoshi's Island is the fact that that baby's crying and crying and crying.
I'm okay with it.
I was about to say that's the reason why my mom wouldn't buy it for me when I was a kid. I wanted Yoshi's Island so bad when I was a kid, and my mom wouldn't buy it for me because of Yoshi's crying. And I played my games in the living room at the time, so she was just like, yeah, I'm not getting you that game.
That's going to cause me a migraine. No.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I always love thinking of Yoshi's Island because it's one of my earliest memories of visiting a video game store. Because I remember when Yoshi's Island first came out, it had just come out, and in one of the local malls we had up in Jersey, we had an EB game. Back then it was called EBX. And I remember walking in there, and I just remember thinking of all those old games that I saw on the shelf and all those old consoles, and kind of hindsight 2020 thinking of like, oh man, I wish I could have bought those then, because now they're probably pretty rare. You know, you get that sometimes when you see these old console games, and you're like, oh man, I remember that was on the shelf for like $5 at one point. Now it's like $300.
Now, just to introduce you to another member of our team, of course, we have with us Mr. Lee Garasich. Now, Lee, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How's everyone else?
I'm glad you sorted out your mic issues, because you were sounding like a chipmunk a little while ago.
Yeah, we had some technical issues with Skype, but everything's running smoothly now.
Great. As long as you don't sound like Chip or Dale, the Rescue Rangers.
Rescue Rangers.
I think everyone knows the whole song. I actually do too, but I'm not going to sing it now. So, guys, let's get on to our section of IGG today that we usually do, which is the news section. So, shall we? So tell me, Travis, what's in the news this week?
This week, it looks like we have what appears to be the controller for Steam PC gaming device, whatever you want to call it.
Steambox?
There you go, I think Steambox. Oh my gosh, I couldn't remember what the name of it was. Damn, it's late. Anyways, they revealed the controller, and yeah, I don't know.
I think it's like Steam's attempt to retaliate against the dubstep gun, because it just looks like you press the pads, it's just like.
Anyways, Valve has revealed a new controller optimized for Steam and Steam Machine's devices, and concluding this week's string of announcements aimed at bridging the gap between PC gaming and the living room. The peripheral will support the full catalog of Steam games released to date and will include legacy support for older titles that lack controller support. Contrasting traditional gamepads, Valve's peripheral uses two trackpads rather than the dual analog setup common to consoles. Balancing the lack of physical sticks, Valve's controller uses haptic feedback, allowing precise control over frequency, amplitude, and direction of movements.
In other words, it just has some vibration in the pad.
Now,
yeah, the ladies will love this.
Before we continue this, I'm just going to add someone to the call. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's see if I can get him on here. We have with us from the Happy Console Gamer Show, Mr. Rob Man. Let's see if we can. And I do have an applause button here.
Hello.
Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
Quite well, and how's everyone doing?
Good, good.
What are you people doing? Are you having a laugh?
We are, actually. So, Rob Man, how's things today? How are you? You well excited to be joining us for this episode of I Got Gameplay?
I'm very stoked, actually. I'm very excited and honored to be here. So,
we're honored to have you. Trust me. It's everybody on this show today are extremely good fans of the Happy Console Gamer Show. And guys and girls out there, if you want to give Rob Man your questions, you can do on 760-512-7247, or you can call us using the Skype buttons. Just press that Skype button. We will get on the boards, and you can ask your questions. Now, Travis, do you want to finish your little news piece before we go on to asking Rob Man a few questions? Because I've got some from the IGG page ready for him.
Okay, yeah, let me continue here.
Go for it.
We're talking about the Steam controller, and continuing, the controller additionally features a touch-enabled surface with a high-resolution screen. The screen can also be clicked as a button. When a player taps the touch screen, it displays overlays on top of the game itself, eliminating the need to look down at the controller during gameplay. According to Valve, the screen allows an infinite number of discrete actions to be made available to the player without requiring an infinite number of physical buttons. I don't know about you guys, but I actually prefer my controllers with buttons. I've used that ever since the days of the Atari.
Yeah, I'm kind of on board with that. I like, things keep moving forward, and I understand the progress of technology. As time moves on, I'm rescinding into my retro cave. Like, I'm really pulling away from their stuff, and all these touch screens and slide touch pads. It's just, give me a cross pad, a couple of thumbsticks, and some buttons. I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel too. I mean, I'm really excited about what the future of gaming holds, but I'm sorry, I'm a traditionalist.
Yeah.
I don't even think it boils down to tradition. I think it's more a case of precision, because trying to use and I'm using my experience with trying to play a lot of those cell phone games that use the digital analog sticks built in. You lose so much precision playing a game when you don't have that feedback of actually pushing an analog stick forward or having a mouse to kind of guide things around. You really lose that level of just knowing exactly where you are. It's kind of that weird uncanny valley. So I'll give them, if there's one company that I think is going to put all their effort into trying to make this as tight an experience as possible, I think Valve is going to be that company. But having said that, I can't say I'm the biggest fan of using touchpads as analog sticks. I mean, I will give them credit, though, to try to make a controller that fits every single game on Steam, or at least most of them. That's a daunting task, given how broad a scale PC controls are, given what they're working with. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and not completely jump on this idea. But it's got an uphill battle, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, my answer to this is simple.
How dare you give Valve a death sound? This is Valve we're talking about. You respect.
I agree remotely with the panel here. It's literally, you've got something, you need buttons, you need a joystick. I don't mind with us going into like joysticks and stuff with the Xbox pads, and when we had like PlayStation pads when they came out with those like dual sticks, I was fine with that. But going into a whole touchpad thing, it just doesn't seem right, It seems like
not natural.
Exactly.
It makes me feel old. You know, it makes me feel old. Because I'm just like I'm right there with Rob, man, about just give me some buttons and a joystick and I'm fine. And like I feel like when I hold this thing, I'm gonna feel like some 80-year-old guy like, what's this thing do?
Well,
with the times, Grandpa.
I think that what's happened here, and what I find very interesting, is PC gamers have always held a much higher opinion of PC gaming for the fact that their controls were much more involved. I mean, mouse, keyboard, you have a lot more that you can do with that than you can do with a controller, no matter how many buttons you throw on it. But now they're trying to meld PC and console-style gaming, and they're almost wholly incompatible. I mean, you could not play something like World of Warcraft with all of the short keys and shortcut keyboard configurations you need for it to work with the mouse onto a controller. It's almost impossible. So to try and do what Valve wants to do, which is to make a controller that will work with any PC game, is not impossible unless they use, as they've said, a touch screen that you can make a bunch of buttons to and this other stuff. But at that point, it's getting too complicated and you're trying too hard. Let PC games be PC games and just hook a really good PC game up to your TV via HDMI and have a wireless keyboard and mouse. And then game that way. Or game with a console and use the traditional console-style controls that were the buttons and the analog sticks. But I'm not sure how successful they'll be trying to blend two worlds that have often been like oil and water.
Well, keep in mind, it's just an alternative. It's not. I don't think they're completely getting rid of keyboard and mouse control for their Steam games for this thing. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to reach that console market, which for the longest time, the PC market in terms of money making is not as heavy as it was back in the 90s. I mean, they've lost a lot of steam as of late to the more modern day consoles, and I think Valve is a company that wants to get a lot of those console gamers over to the PC side and really reap the benefits financially. And I think this is a step forward in that regard. It's funny how nowadays PC gamers PC is reaching out to consoles when it used to be the other way around back in the day, but I think this is just their way of trying to reach out to those more common gamers who are maybe turned off by the concept of playing a PC game with a mouse and keyboard.
I agree. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, I will say this real quick. I'm very new to Steam, as in I just downloaded Steam like 2 days ago. And
for beta test.
Yeah. And, the thing is like, when it comes to PC games, like, it's so overwhelming. When I talk to someone that's into PC games and they start talking to me about drivers and graphic cards and all that stuff, it's just like they're speaking another language to me. So I like the fact that the Steam box seems like it's going to cater to someone more like me that doesn't really know that much about PC gaming, but's curious about those summer humble bundles that Steam has that so freaking awesome that I want to be a part of. So I'm for it. I think it's the controller. I'm going to wait until I actually hold it in my hands and see how it plays. I'm kind of weird about it.
Yeah, Rob, man, you want to say something?
Oh, it's just I agree that Steam is trying to get some of that console market, but I think they're going to have a bit of an uphill battle with it. And I think that, as far as it goes, Steam is about the best PC gaming company out there. I mean, they love their fans. They really try to be creative. They work hard to make new intellectual IP and there are new IPs and new products. Keep it fresh, but also do things that people are comfortable and know somewhat inherently. But trying to cross that threshold from PC market into the console market is going to be tough. So I'm very interested to see how they go about it and how they do with it.
Yeah. And the one thing I want to say about the control system, as long as they can have that reverse compatibility, such as the Ouya allows you to play with the PS3 pads. If they have that, then there shouldn't be a problem, because if you do get sick of it, you can just plug in your PS3 controller.
Fair enough. That wouldn't be terrible.
Yeah. So, going on that, let's go for one last little piece of news. Apparently, and this is what was alleged, Alpha Magazine wrote the story on YouTube, and Kotaku basically wrote an article about it, but it's saying that Sony recently revealed that they're looking at streamlining their service basically via other systems as well as through their own consoles. Now, I was looking a little bit further into this because when Alpha Magazine first talked about this, and shout out to him on his YouTube channel, he basically was stated that they're looking at sort of eliminating any more consoles and just having it sort of a streaming gaming platform, sort of something like similar to Steam. But by looking at this, from what Kotaku was saying, it's that you'll need a PS4 in order to do this. So, say if they agree to it, like something like Nintendo on your Wii U, you could just get an app on there which would allow you to basically stream your games from your PS4 onto your Wii U, so you can play it in different locations. What's everyone's thoughts on this?
Isn't this kind of similar to that add-on that the ColecoVision had where it could play Atari games onto it? It kind of reminds me of that in a way. It's like, well, you're not technically making games for the other console, so here's a bit of a workaround. I mean, that's got to be 10 times of illegal if that's the case. There's got to be some type of SEC, somebody's got to investigate that. It it's not that it surprised me because didn't they invest in a streaming service last year? They bought I think the streaming company was named Gaikai, I think it's called.
They're going to be using that basically to do it. So what they're looking at doing with the Vita, by basically having it streamed from your PS4 to your Vita so you can play compatible games on that, they are looking at using the same service to do it to any single console, your smartphone, your TV, anything. So basically, if someone's got like they want to use the TV in your living room where your PS4's plugged in, you can just stream it somewhere else. Yeah, Robman, sorry, you were going to say something?
I think they're going to have a hell of a lot of trouble getting Microsoft and Nintendo to agree to that, because that's basically allowing you to play the competitors' games on your hardware, which is not a very good business plan for Nintendo or Microsoft, nor does it look like it would make them any profit, so why would they allow it?
That's pretty much it. When I was actually sitting there pondering this, I was thinking, why would they have to get some sort of permission in order to get these platforms on other consoles as well. I could see competitors like, say, like the Ouya or even like your television and other sort of mobile devices by doing it. But the competitors,
I could see this being a case where, I think this is going to be a situation where Sony thinks that they could get into the online market. Basically, what I think is going to happen if this is the case is they're going to try to sell the PlayStation Network service or something similar to it to other platforms, Blu-rays, internet-capable TVs. I think they're going to want to stretch the PlayStation Network brand to non-gaming platforms. And I think people immediately thought the Wii and the Xbox 360, but keep in mind, we've got Blu-ray players that have Android on them. We've got TVs that have Android on them. We've got, those little Roku boxes and stuff. I would not be surprised if that's what they were thinking about, that they wanted to basically stretch their gaming services past just the PS4. And in that regard, I could see what they're trying to do. It could work if Sony really pushes it. I think I could see this stretching to be Sony brand TVs and Sony brand Blu-ray players, but they're really going to have to sell this to the Panasonics and the Samsungs if they really want to make any headway with this idea.
Samsung is pretty heavily in bed with Sony, let's be honest. They were the first company to get the rights to Blu-ray outside of them, and they're pretty chummy buddy. So I could see smart TVs streaming PlayStation content through a PS4. I would not be at all surprised for them to have wireless connectivity.
Plus, they've also got the new PS1 app that they're actually using on Sony devices, I believe. Is it on Android devices, Miguel? Do you know?
The PS1 app, I believe, I've only ever heard it on the Xperia, which is the Sony branded gaming phone that they came out with a couple years ago. If it's expanded to other phones and devices, I haven't heard anything about it. But yeah, that was for the Xperia, because the two touchpad analog sticks and the buttons and stuff, which was a neat idea. A couple years too late, though.
But in the end, though, this is probably their test to see if they can actually streamline it on other devices. Maybe they roll this out first before they go for something like that. But I think it's a unique idea. It's a great way for Sony to think outside the box. And as a guy who's heavily invested in toilet gaming, I'm well up for that. It saves me from taking the Vita in. So, just do it on my smartphone instead. But yeah, it's a good idea, but again, we'll just have to see how many people they can actually get on board in terms of this, and they probably won't have any trouble getting the Apples and the Android markets, or even the television markets, and as you said, the compatible devices like Blu-ray players, etc. It's just getting if you want to go for Nintendo and Microsoft, that's going to be another issue.
I think those two will only get involved if every single platform has it. If this is something that comes standard on your TV or your Blu-ray player, then I see them caving. But it's going to take a lot for them to agree to anything close to that.
Yeah, especially Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they do it, because if anything, that gives them even more motivation not to, because that's basically admitting defeat at that point. Yeah,
definitely. In the end, it's just basically seeing how far they're going to take it. But one can dream. Now, segueing on from that, we've had a few questions coming in on the IGG page, and we also got our guest host here, Rob Man, who basically want to ask you a few little bit of questions. So instead of continuing with our news section tonight, we're going to basically have people ask you a few, like, sort of a Q&A section. I'm going to start first with Lee here, who hasn't really said much. So, Lee, what's your question for Rob Man?
I've thought a lot about this. And the one thing that I really, really wanted to know was, what is your favorite Mega Man power-up? You can only pick one.
That's very cruel, that. I can only pick one. Wow. There's a lot of really good ones. You know what? Just off the top of my head, to be honest, I would love to have the magnet beam.
That is a very good choice.
Because, especially in the job that I do, which is rooftop air conditioning maintenance and repair and refrigeration, to be able to generate energy-based platforms that I could use to scale the sides of buildings and to lift equipment would be a lot easier on my life. So that would be, I think, that would be my most useful one in the real world. Now, if you're talking about what my favorite power-up is in general of the entire series of games, I'd have to say the Metal Blade from Metal Man.
That is the correct answer.
I love buzzsaw noise. I love the look of it. I love the fact that you could fire in all 8 directions.
The lethality.
Oh yeah, well, a nice sharp blade chopping into somebody is never a bad thing, you know. So for in the games, yeah, it's definitely the Metal Blade.
All right.
Okay, Travis, you're up next to bat. What's your question?
I just kind of thinking, Rob, man, with Mighty No. 9 coming out here in a couple of years, what are you most excited about in the game itself? Like, is there any specific part of the game that you're really hoping to see, or anything of that nature?
You know, to be honest, what I'm most excited about with Mighty No. 9 is what it represents to gaming culture as it stands today, because as times are moving forward and everything's go, and everyone's, like, it's shifted. There are so many first-person shooters now. There's a fair number of JRPGs. Platformers have just been lost into the darkness. They're not considered a viable gaming format anymore. And old folks like me, who, you know, cut our teeth on these and love these games, I crave these. I really do. And knowing what platforms today are capable of, what graphics we can get, and what we could do with a 2D platformer now, this Kickstarter has shown, we want these. We still crave. This is the kind of gaming that we want again. And this could be the start of a revolution that brings us back to platform gaming, that shows it for what it is, a viable, easily profitable form of gameplay still that's been left behind because everyone thought it was just too old-fashioned. I mean, I would kill to see a proper Symphony of the Night sequel, and I know a lot of us would.
Oh, yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
Mario games are some of the few that are still doing a side-scrolling platforming game, and, you know, aside from the one on the Wii, which, you know, the controls were atrocious, the one on the Wii U redeemed that, but there's not really anyone else. I'd love to see sequels to, like, Rocket Knight. I'd love to see, you know, a new 2D Bonk. I mean, the Symphony of the Night I want to see is fully animated, hand animated, all of it, so that it looks like anime. That has large, lush characters and backgrounds. That has a really living environment. You know, I would love to see that done. I'd love to see the you know, Koji Igarashi style of artwork, and then beautiful, really seamless parallax scrolling. God forbid they should bring that back. Done well, like a good, beautiful 2D Castlevania at the full potential of today's systems. So that's my most exciting part about Mighty No. 9 is the fact that it might bring us back to the kind of gaming that we miss.
And I will say too, with the Xbox One, PS4, and the Wii U, like everyone's like choosing sides, and I've seen on Facebook pages where people are talking to their like blue face with this whole like console war. Mighty Number 9's that one thing that's been just bringing everyone back together too. That's I think so magical about it because you have someone's like, oh, Xbox One or PS4, but it's like they both come together and they're like, we want another Mega Man. We want Mighty Number 9 to come out, so it's really, really cool.
You know what would be really amazing? And I can't believe that this didn't actually take off. But the Harmony of Despair on Xbox Live, the multiplayer online Symphony of the Night type gameplay, you could do that with so many things. I mean, that could be done in the Mega Man series as well. Imagine going through an ultra difficult Mega Man stage with 4 of your friends. That would just be mind-blowing. People need to get on that.
See, I like Castlevania, but to be honest, to me, platformers, and I know I'm very different about this, platformer single-player experience. I don't want to have to be waiting back or having the screen shift or what have you. I mean, obviously the Castlevania let you be in different areas of the castle on your own, and I definitely like that idea. But in the end of the day, to me, I want a true single-player platformer. If they want to throw a multiplayer side quest into it, or like, some of those challenge stages like they're talking about for number 9, that's awesome. But I really want my single-player experience platformers. For me, I'm a bit of a shut-in. But yes, I would like to see some more multiplayer experiences thrown that way as well.
Robman, we have a caller on the line from you. It's Nick from Iowa. He'd like to ask you a question. You up for that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, please.
Great. It's him on the line now. Nick from
I've been
Iowa.
on the show before, so I wouldn't do it.
Hi, Nick. You're live now on I Got Gameplay.
Are you, sir?
Oh, good. Thank you very much. What's your question for Robin?
Well, actually, I don't have a question necessarily for Rob Man, but wanted to actually thank him for the work that he does on Happy Console Gamer, a little tired, and also the fact that if it wasn't for his review of the Mega Man series, I wouldn't have started playing Mega Man X again. In fact, going back and trying to get some of the earlier Mega Man games to play.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much. Wow, that's awesome to hear. I'm so glad that I could help you find the series. I think the series speaks for itself for how much fun it is, but if I was in any way able to help share that fun with you, thank you so much. I'm glad.
And thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate it, and hope to see more from you on the videos, and hope that you have fun on the show tonight. You're with a great lot of guys.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Actually, I'm really I'm already having a good time, and I think it's going to be a great show. So, and you'll plan to see a lot more of me on Happy Console Gamer. I am making a very strong effort this year to really be involved, and you should see much more. So, right on. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, sir. You have a wonderful night.
You too.
And going on from that, and thank you for calling us, Nick. It was great having you on. Miguel, what's your question?
Give me a second.
Got a mouthful of ramen right now.
Yeah.
To answer that question, yes, I will give you a second.
It's funny that he mentioned that, and I can't really credit Rob Man with showing me the Mega Man series, because Mega Man and I go back, way, way back. But one thing I can say is I was a fan of the Phantasy Star series, but I never played Phantasy Star 1 until I watched the Happy Console Gamer, and he mentioned how it was his favorite game of all time, and I had to find out why, and man, that is a very, very difficult game, and I tried to do it old school to get the old school experience. I pulled out the pen and pad to try and sketch some of the dungeons. I was stuck in one of them for like 4 hours, but at the end of the game, I actually had an appreciation for how amazing of a game that was, because I can imagine it back then, and that was definitely one experience I took away from Happy Console Gamer whenever I started following you guys way back when.
Well, I'll tell you something. The same happened to me when I first started hanging out with Johnny. I was always the Nintendo kid. I was always a Nintendo guy. And he introduced me to the Sega Master System, and he introduced me to Phantasy Star. Then I ended up finding a Master System in a pawn shop and a copy of Phantasy Star that was in almost mint condition. And I sat down and played it. And much like you, he was the one that got me interested, and man, what a spectacular game. But I wouldn't have known about it without him either. This is why I'm so glad that he started this show, because he's been teaching me this stuff for years, and we've shared this passion of gaming. And when he started it, nobody was talking about these games. Nobody was talking about the Monster World Series. Nobody was talking about Phantasy Star or Ease or any of this, and he didn't want to let that disappear. So he was like, if no one else is going to do it, I'll tell these stories. I'll talk about these games. And that was the impetus for the show. Basically, what we had done for years was what he wanted to do to share with everyone. So very cool, man. I'm glad he got you going on it.
He also got me started in the Monster World series as well. So he definitely is doing amazing work, and how he represents and the passion he has in his videos, along with you too. It's very entertaining to watch, and it opens up people's eyes to games that they might not have experienced in their own right.
And I will say one thing before Miguel asks us this question. Happy Console Gamer got me into Ease, and I have to say, Rob, you and Johnny were like great car salesmen on the Dreamcast, because the Dreamcast was a system I'd always heard about. But after I watched that Dreamcast episode, I had to go out and buy one, and it's become one of my favorite systems of all time. Definitely.
It's the Dreamcast will always hold a glowing and very special place in our hearts because of that summer that I brought it back from Japan and that we sat and played it. Yeah, it was a sad fate that met the Dreamcast because I think it was let go too soon. Damn you, Moore! Damn you for telling them to stop making it.
I completely agree. I don't mean to cut you off, but I doing research for the Dreamcast I thought about doing it for one of these episodes for I Got Gameplay, and just seeing the list of games that would have come out the following year for it, it's frustrating. I mean, you look at Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 2, Half-Life, Max Payne I saw about to be released onto there, Ninja Dragoon Orta, Shinobi. I mean, I think even Halo at one point was in development for the Dreamcast before they pulled the plug. I mean, just so many great games, and all they have to do is just wait one more year.
Castlevania Resurrection.
And that's the thing is that between Sega Saturn refusing to bring over the JRPGs because they felt it was too niche and wouldn't sell enough for the system, and then pulling the plug on the Dreamcast just a little too soon, Sega could still be a very powerful competing hardware company today if they had just waited a little longer. That's what's so absolutely heartbreaking about this. So, go ahead.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. I was going to sort of chime my 2 cents in as well. Actually, the funny thing was, I tuned into the Happy Console Gamer when we were having an abundance of angry video game nerds. Literally everything on YouTube was someone being angry about a game, or crapping on a game, or talking about how this game sucks. And I think the first show I caught was when Johnny was basically talking about the reason why he did the Happy Console Gamer show, and started tuning in more and more. And I remember seeing the first one that I saw you on, Rob Man, was when you took us for a tour of your home, basically, showing us the Mega Man games that you had, and from there I literally wanted to see more. And when you did the whole unboxing of, I believe it was Mega Man 9, that you got from Capcom Unity, I was like literally entranced. And the more that I saw you and Johnny work together, the more I basically saw the Happy Console Gamer as not sort of Johnny's show as yours as well, because I thought that you both encompass your own sort of entity in terms of the show. You have your own unique styles. Each of you have your own set of stories as well when you talk about certain things. And it's great watching you guys, completely just go through each and every moment you had with these games, because they're history. And I think that's one of the things where I find a lot of gaming critics now go wrong. They're like, oh, here's the game, bam, 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 this is why it sucks, or this is why it's great. But they never tell us about the history. They never have that sort of personal interaction, which I think HTC has. And I have to say a big thank you as well, because you guys have really, you turned me from being someone who was kind of outcast in gaming at one point to someone who's fully embraced it because of the fact that you guys, you speak my language. I'm a huge retro head. A lot of it's due to my own childhood. When I from when I was a kid as well, because I literally went my first playthrough when I was playing my NES all the way up to now, and seeing that it's great, and thank you. I really mean thank you for that.
It's really been touching and surprising, the number of people that have said similar, and thank you. I really appreciate the kind words. It's incredible, but it really comes from the fact that there were all these people, crapping on games, and this sucks and that sucks, and this is such a stupid game, and blah blah. And yes, they were riding the whole angry video game nerd style, but we can't do that, because we've been gamers all our lives. I started playing on a Commodore VIC-20 when I was 5 years old. And I started with Cosmic Cruncher and text adventures like Pirates Cove and Adventureland. And I've been passionate about video gaming ever since. The Nintendo was my first big explosion, where I got the NES and my world just became consumed by it. But it never made sense to me why all of the videos had to be so negative. So all we could do was say, well, you know what, everyone else tells you why it sucks, we're going to tell you why it's awesome. And hope that that'll catch on. Because all we really want to do is share this with people that others will say, you know what, yeah, I love this game, I love that. And if people love games we hate, that's even better, because sometimes they'll give us a different perspective to go back and try it again. I mean, look at Johnny's first Game to Hate video, where he talked about Beyond the Beyond, and when we first rented it on the PS1, he was so mad. I watched him do it. He scratched the ever-loving crap out of that disc and then sent it back to the rental store, praying that no one else would ever have to play it. And yet, when he revisited it to get footage for his video, he actually liked it. So, with age comes a slightly better level of patience, and he finally developed enough to get into the story. But yeah, I mean, that's so thank you. Honestly, everyone, thank you for the kind words, because really all I ever think of when I think of this show is, a couple of old farts sitting around and talking about video games. But the fact that it caught on and that people will appreciate, us rambling and prattling on like a couple of senior citizens sitting on the front porch, is great.
So, Miguel, you've got your question?
Yep.
Go for it.
Yeah, I've got my question. I'm currently going through your Mega Man retrospective, which I'm really enjoying so far. I love looking at old retrospectives. I love just prattling on between down the legacy of certain games. And in the original Mega Man timeline review that you did, there were a lot of things about that I had no idea about. So you really brought a lot of knowledge that even I didn't know about. I do have to ask, because I don't know if you mentioned this in your Legends review or the second half of your X review, because I'm currently going through that. Were you a fan of the short-lived Mega Man TV series, the cartoon?
I have both box sets.
Awesome.
Super Fighting Robot Mega Man was one of, for me, I didn't care how crappy it was. That cartoon's existence brought such a glow to my heart for the fact that there was a Mega Man cartoon. They didn't go Mega Hot every 5 seconds.
That actually does remind me to as a follow up. A quick follow up question then. What was your thought on the Mega Man NT Warrior series?
I never watched the anime. I tried to play the games, and to be honest, I couldn't do it. I started playing Battle Network 1, and I got to a certain point where the difficulty jumped from I've level grounded enough that I should be okay to you're being so badly trashed that there's no point in trying to go forward, and it didn't feel Mega Man enough to me. I'm glad that there are people out there that love that series and that it helped prolong and continue the Mega Man series in general, and I know it was Inafune's baby, and I'm glad that he made it, but I couldn't get into it myself, and I feel really terrible saying that, but yeah, I couldn't. I wanted Mega Man, not Megamon, like Pokemon. I didn't want to collect all the chips and trade them with my friends. I just wanted to trounce bad guys and take their powers.
I will say Mega Man X Command Mission's awesome though.
I haven't played it yet. Damn it! I've played some, but I haven't.
I'm the only one.
Pardon?
I'm glad I'm not the only one because I was a huge Mega Man fan for all the years, all the way through Mega Man 6. I loved Mega Man X, and Mega Man X2 was really good, and then Mega Man X3 was not as good in my opinion, and then whenever it got to Mega Man X4, I put the disc in and I turned it on, and there was like a 15-minute cartoon, and I just wanted to pick a boss battle to go kill. That's it. I was like, oh, I had enough. I didn't even get past the opening cutscene. It was too much.
You know what? That makes me kind of sad, because I know the intro was a tad excessive, but Mega Man X4 for the X series is my favorite, because the story was unbelievable, just full of so many mind-blowing moments, and the end, I won't ruin it for you, but I was in tears. I was shattered by the end of that game. It was just emotional, impactful, such a perfect ending, and it was supposed to end there. X5 and X6 weren't intended to be made, but Capcom forced because the series was still profitable. But if you ever get the nerve up, give it a second shot. Bring a beer to help you make it through that scene, and try it, because the animation on the actual sprites as you play is just gorgeous, especially on the Sega Saturn. The music is fantastic, and that one, the fact that you could play the entire game as Zero, for me was so great, because I played through both campaigns, and I got the full story from both sides, and it was so beautiful to use the Z Saber and to get different special attacks with it from the bosses. So if you beat the fire boss, you got a special fire-based Z Saber attack you could use. So Zero also got power-ups. So I really, I would hope, please give a second chance, because honestly, I swear, if you can survive the cutscenes, you will be so happy with that game.
Well, I do own it. I just haven't gone around to putting it back in yet.
Well, do you have a 60 gig old PS3?
No, I don't.
It's a PS1 one. Do you have a PS3 hooked up to an HD TV?
No, I don't actually.
Okay. Because PS3s can upconvert and even clean up the graphics more and make them look even more beautiful. Which is ridiculous to say for a game with animation that clean, because that was Capcom's 2D heyday. But however you play it, I think you'll enjoy.
There's one question I want to ask to you, Rob Man, little quickly actually. What did you think about the situation surrounding Capcom? Because, we talked about it a little bit on the show, and it's been reported that they only have 152 million in the bank, which, consider how Capcom's sort of done business lately, you can see the reason why. They're kind of like millionaires that should be billionaires. What's your take on that?
This is an interesting topic. I've thought about it a lot over the last little while. Sometimes companies are too proud to do what's right. When all of their top tier talent left, they lost Mikami. Resident Evil hasn't been the same. They lost the guys from Clover Studios, and that was a big mistake. They were some of their more creative people. And Inafune-san left because he just couldn't handle the politics and the way that they were running the company. And the only request he had was to have a studio of his own on the side. It was still affiliated to Capcom, where they would leave him alone, and they couldn't give it to him. So he left. And out of spite, as far as I can tell, more than anything else, they canceled his Mega Man games.
Yeah, they had like a ton of them, including the first-person shooter they were going to be releasing, which was like a retelling of the X series.
which was going to be done by the guys who did Metroid Prime, and if there was anyone who could make that into an FPS and make it gorgeous, it would have been them.
Have you seen the footage?
Yeah, I've seen it too, and it pisses me off. But basically, I think it was partially spite, and partially because they weren't sure they could make a Mega Man game with him. Now, the Legends 3 thing, Inafune tried to set a bit of a trap for them with that, and either way he won. Either they were forced to finish making the game as it was so public and so in the eyes of the world, or they were going to cancel it and really screw over their fan base. They took option B. They've stood by that because Japan's society is so based on honor. You can't lose face by reversing that decision now. They will not lose face by reversing that decision. They will not ever bring the game back. And it breaks my heart to say it because I'm a proud member of 100,000 Strong, and I want them to do it. But they're afraid to try and do anything with Mega Man now that Inafune is done because they're afraid of what the fans will say. So for his 25th anniversary, they did nothing. Street Fighter had a year of download content, extra costumes, and songs, and albums, and wallpapers, and merchandise, and everything you could want. Mega Man got a fan game that they stole from the guy after giving him a cease and desist order, Mega Man X Street Fighter, that they stole from him, polished up, and then released for free. They've made 2 overpriced statues, and a whole bunch of t-shirts and merch. And that's it. They've started really showing that they're interested in rehashing as many of their fighting game franchises as they can, and as long as you like those, Monster Hunter or Resident Evil, you're fine. Outside of that,
even Resident Evil.
The Resident Evil series has gone so far downhill.
Yeah, I was going to say Resident Evil is not what it used to be.
Revelations is the one small glimmering exception to that. It was quite spectacular.
That was a good one.
I boycotted Capcom the day they gave up Legends 3, and I haven't looked back. And I've got to be honest, I think they're swirling the drain. And now that Inafune-san has created his spiritual successor to Mega Man, I think they're in a hell of a lot of trouble. They'll stay afloat on their fighting games, but nowhere near the powerhouse they used to be, and I don't think they'll ever get that glory back, because what made them amazing, what made them such a great studio, was that they took chances. Their arcade games were some of the most innovative and most interesting and just some of the most fun. And they were willing with their home games, too, to take chances. They had the Mega Man, they had the Street Fighter to be their core, but they always updated, tried something new, tried to change it a little bit and make it fresh. And now they've stopped taking chances. They're just rehashing the same ground over and over that they know makes money and getting bad press after bad press after bad press, DLC that's already on disc, releasing extra DLC, launch day DLC and patches, canceling games left and right that fans wanted. They can't buy good press right now. And really I think they're in trouble, and I think they're on their way out, because unless they do something drastic fast, they're going to lose relevance in this market, because all of the game series are going downhill.
No,
I could see.
No,
that's my
I
view on that one.
I was going to say, I could see them getting picked up by one of the bigger companies. Like, I could honestly see Sammy coming in and swiping up Capcom's library from them, or even SNK. I mean, I don't know how good SNK is doing right now, but it'd be kind of ironic if SNK had enough capital that they could actually swallow up the rights to a lot of those Capcom franchises, given how close
SNK would be in no position to do that. The Neo Geo X that came out wasn't actually made by SNK, it was made with Blessing. So they wouldn't. But if there is anyone in this industry with even a shred of soul or goodness to them, if Capcom goes up for sale, the Mega Man IP will go to Concept.
To who?
Concept. Inafune's company.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that. If they can get, honestly, if they can get enough capital to do that, I mean, it's not like they can really say no at this point, because it would probably be up for public auction by that point if they actually do file for bankruptcy, if they go under.
And let's be honest, if Concept gets that IP, Legends 3 will happen.
Yeah.
And And the Mega Man games will be back on course if Inafune-san is willing to take that back. I mean, he's already stated Mighty No. 9 right now isn't a series. It's one game. He's seeing where it goes. If the fans want more, he'll make it. But this is a man who has devoted, and this is what Capcom used to be about. The other thing that breaks my heart about them, he's devoted to the fans, not to the dollars, not to the profit margins, not to the shareholders. He's devoted to us because we're the ones that made them great. And he wants what the fans want. And that's why they kicked him out. Because he wasn't about making all that money, even though he was the head of their R&D. He was about making amazing games and pleasing the fans. That's why he started the Legends 3, the serve dev room with the serve bot numbers. That's why he created that, because he wanted us involved. So that's why he's doing that with Mighty No. 9. And, you know, I pray that he will get his hands on that IP because he's the one that made it, and I think he deserves to have it. So if they go under, I'm hoping he gets it.
But where do you think that the future at the moment for Capcom is unclear, or do you feel that because at the moment 152 million, that's still pretty good for a game company. I'm not saying it's good for them. They should literally have been making tons more money, but it just seems, as you so aptly pointed out here, the company has just basically just gone from one disaster to the next. You know, including the whole foray into that whole DLC channel, which they ended up putting like PS3 DLC on an Xbox 360 disc as well. They literally just chopped and changed. You know, and people couldn't have access to the same characters that they had on the PS3 game. But we'll segueing off of that. I'm gonna put a question here from a fan who's left a message on the I Got Gameplay page. He's by the name of Tyler Dixon, and it basically goes in twofold. First off, I can't tell you how much I love the phone message from the beginning of the Mega Man 9 press kit episode of Happy Console Gamer. It captures a real-life moment that not many people get to experience. It reminds me why I'm a fan of anything and every time I watch it. Now for my question. When you look back over the years of Mega Man fandom, which is your most nostalgic memory?
That's simple. The day that I first managed to rent Mega Man 2. Because I didn't know it was out. Back then, I didn't have Nintendo Power. My parents didn't have a subscription to that for me. I rarely got video game magazines. So for me, it was checking the rental shelves. That's how I knew things were out. And there's one shop near our house. Now, it was about a good 15-minute bike ride. But it was near our house. And it was at a place called Scott 72 Video. And I rode my bike out there, and I was looking through. They had these big, tall racks that would spin, and so you'd get like one row of games, and then it was like an octagon shape, and you could spin it, and there was like the game boxes up there stuffed with styrofoam and shrink wrapped, and if they were in, they were sitting on that shelf. And I saw Mega Man 2, and I remembered instantly. I memorized that image, that front cover picture, that wonderfully horrible box art, and it just sealed in my mind, and I had to rent it because I loved the first one so much. I couldn't believe it. I had to rent it. So the counter with the box, he said, "Can you hold this for me so I can go get money to rent it?" He said, "Sorry, kid, we don't hold games." So I had to chance it being there. I got on my bike. I rode faster than I've ever ridden a bike in my life. It was like there were flaming tire prints shooting out the back of my friggin' bike. Up straight back to my house. I ran into the house, out of the my parents said, "What?" Slow down. Can I have $5 to rent Mega Man 2? Here you go. Back on the bike, back down to the store. It was still there. And I picked it up. I brought it home. And I remember my parents, I think there was like football finals or something, some big sports event going on with sport ball or hand egg or something, and they wanted to watch it. So they brought a TV down from their room and set it up in the dining room for me. And I set up my Nintendo. So I was sitting there in a chair at the dining room with this little TV right in front of me, and various snacks arrayed about, playing Mega Man 2, and I finished it that night. And I played it. I finished it about 4 times before I had to turn it. And I remember sitting and just loving it and playing it, going to bed, waking up, running downstairs early in the morning, and playing through it over and over, memorizing the bosses and the stages and the graphics, all of the enemies. I just loved it so much, and that is absolutely... I can close my eyes and still picture sitting in that dining room with the early morning sunlight streaming in through the blinds that were mostly closed. The wood finish on the table, the cheesy fake wood grain on the TV.
Oh man!
And
wood paneling.
that fake wood paneling on those little like card table TVs they used to sell that had the two big knobs, one for the channels and one for the volume. It's just, So there it is. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I just really miss renting video games. I do miss that. It's going to sound weird, but I miss the smell of going into some of these rental places. It had like a weird, like, new carpet smell, like when you went to like Blockbuster or some mom and pop shop, and the TVs that would show previews of like stuff that was coming out, and that was such a magical time.
We had a few video shops I used to know really well. There was, and I always went to the independent ones. I tried to avoid Rogers and Blockbuster till they were some of the last ones left. But we had Classic Video, which was where I first rented the first Mega Man, and that was owned by a guy named Dennis. I got to know him so well over the years that I could rent any movie in the place for $1, and he'd let me hang on until someone wanted it. And that's where he'd give me movie posters. I had the poster for Toxic Avenger. I had The Mask. Tons of old ones. I got the Mortal Kombat, that long vinyl banner that the video stores have for Mortal Kombat 2. That had the symbol with all the lightning behind it. He gave me that when they were finished with it. I've still got that downstairs in my game room. I love those old shops. I love that era of rentals. It was videotapes and cartridges. And when you rented a game, you didn't have to wait for it to friggin' update on your system. You just put it in the Nintendo, you pushed down, you turned it on, you turned it off, it out blue in it. Put it in, pushed it down, you turned it on and played the game. That was such a wonderful time to me. The NES era is one of my most favorite gaming eras. I really miss it.
I've got to quickly ask, we're repeating here for some reason. Okay. I'm going to ask Mike here, Mike Paden. He's one of our co-hosts. He's also on the board here for us today. Paden, have you got a question for Robman that you'd like to ask?
I forgot I had myself on mute there. I believe you're asking about the one that was in the chatter. I think you guys actually were, oddly enough, talking about the exact subject when we got the question. But the question was from a guest in the chat room, why do you feel Capcom hates Mega Man so much? I'm assuming because they're so hesitant to make another game, they just pretty much ignore the franchise. I'm pretty sure you went in depth in that, but if there's anything else you want to throw to that answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I do believe it's because they're afraid to try and make it a game with the guidance of the man who's known as the father of Mega Man. I don't think they necessarily hate him. I think they're afraid of. They love the franchise, and they love the fact that it's one of their most beloved franchises, and they sure love selling us merchandise, because they've got enough of it on the door right now, but they don't know what to do. I mean, they really don't. I read an amazing, 6-page interview with Inafune just before he left Capcom. He just opened up and gave full disclosure on everything that he felt was going wrong and all of it. And he, in that interview, said someday they're going to try and make a Mega Man game without him, and as much as he hates to say it, he's going to enjoy watching them fail because he was involved. And, I hate to say it, but I think that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid to try and make one because they're afraid it won't have that magic and that the fan base will turn away. But by this point, that's a foregone conclusion because now that Mighty No. 9 is coming, Capcom has nothing for us.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but was Inafune in charge of Mega Man X7?
He had very little to do with the X series after X4. Really, he stayed pretty damn hands off after that point. So he got sort of final word on various aspects of it, character design, artwork, decisions like that. But for the most part, he tried to withdraw from the series and keep his hand out of it.
Okay.
So, because I tried to play X7. I really did. and it lost me. The 2.5D thing, the random 3D, the fact that you had to get, a B, A, or S rating on every stage to get the proper ending, the number of reps you had to save, Axel with changing things, and, I mean, to be honest, Tornado Tunyon? Really?
Yeah.
Really? An onion. I mean, guys, come on. A fucking onion. Let it go.
Wait, next that's gonna be like Ravishing Turnip.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Watch out for Rapist Tomato, because he's scary.
Oh my god.
Him and his, feel up leaf attack is very scary.
Ketchup everywhere.
God, it's like bukkake tomato seeds. It's just horrible.
Never look at
Sorry, not enough fruit to say. I apologize. This may be an E-rated podcast. I apologize. Feel free to...
No. It's pretty much tongue-in-cheek. You can say whatever you like on here, Rob, man.
Yeah, the kids asking what bukkake is now.
Why does that lady like mayonnaise so much? No.
Is that a kind of pudding?
Oh, don't say that was a rapist tomato.
Yeah, well, they got to follow up Attack of the Killer Tomatoes somehow.
Wow.
Because rapist tomatoes.
Yeah, George Clooney in that.
Talk about showing your age. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? I remember reading about that on Game Boy, Nintendo Power.
I remember the cartoon.
Apparently I'm not the only old fart here then.
Yeah, this is full of old fart. Mike, have you another question, like one you want to ask personally, or?
You know what? I think I actually do. So, one of the things Mega Man is perhaps most known for is its soundtrack. Do you find yourself listening to the Mega Man music on its own at any other random moments while driving, while doing things around the house? Do you listen to remix of it, such as the ones very popularized by Brennel Floss or on other artists on OC Remix? And what is your favorite tune from the whole series?
Okay, let's start at the top. The fact that I have a playlist that's multiple hours long on my iPhone that contains the soundtrack to every classic and X series game should answer the first part. I listen to them more than regularly. I have the Megas album, both acoustic and standard. I'm planning on getting Spark the War soon, their follow-up album. Mega Ran album. The OC remixes, I've got a hard drive full of them. Mega Man's music is definitely iconic. Mega Man 2's soundtrack to me is still the best, honestly, overall. And I listen to their music to excess. To the point that, now, my 4-year-old son plays Mega Man 2 on the iPhone that I gave him, because when I updated, I took all the phone functionality out and gave it to him, and I had Mega Man 2 on there. And he also likes to play it on my NES. He can beat at least 3 of the bosses on his own at 4. I was making breakfast a while ago and playing my iTunes Mega Man soundtrack playlist, and he came running into the kitchen and said, "Daddy, that's the Woodman song!" And I burst into tears. That's my
awesome.
boy. My son knows the songs just by the music. So we play a little Mega Man music in the house, kind of sometimes. I do intend to get all 3 of the Mega Man 1 to 6 remixed albums as soon as I can. I do have the Mega Man 9 and 9 remix soundtrack as well, but not 10 yet. But we'll get that soon. So yes, Mega Man music is a big passion of mine, as you might guess from the obsession I carry.
And what would you say is your favorite tune?
Wow, it's fairly tough, but it's a big toss-up between Metal Man and Heat Man. Crash Man plays a close second. So, because that was for anyone that remembers the TV show Video and Arcade Top 10 that used to be on YTV, it was hosted by a guy named Nicholas Pickles. Yes, that was his real name. They actually had a clip of that music looped as their theme song. So, yeah, definitely though for me it's Heat Man and Metal Man, especially the Metal Man track from the Mega CD Equipped. If you guys haven't heard to get Equipped CD, seriously, download it from iTunes. They have a remastered version where the vocals are a little clearer, which is excellent. It's so good. It's like ballad rock, where each track is one of the bosses singing about themselves. So, highly recommend.
Great album.
I also want to do a quick shout to Proto Man as well.
Oh yes, I'm so sorry. How could I even mention that without talking? Sorry, yes, go ahead.
I got to see them live. They played in my town. It was freaking awesome.
I saw the Proto Men, Megaman, and the Megas play at PAX 2011. And man, that was so cool. I even got a picture with the Megas and bought one of everything off their merch table. So yeah, but the Proto Men are excellent. They were at the Kickstarter, the Mighty No. 9 Kickstarter, so I'm pretty sure they're making an album about it now.
Awesome. I've got another quick little question here from Nick Enderley. He's one of the hosts from I Got Gameplay. He couldn't be here today because he's working. So he wants to throw a question out. He's basically placed, I just thought of something, he says to me. Here's a question for everyone on the show, not just for yourself, Rob Man. Have you guys watched the fan-made movie, which is titled Megaman, and what did you think of it?
I'll let you guys answer first.
All right. I watched it not too long ago, actually. I liked it. I thought it was there was some parts of it that was kind of cheesy and stuff, but as a fan-made movie, I really liked it. I think the guy that played Dr. Wily was like spot on. Like he did such a great job.
Okay, Lee, what about you?
I actually have not had a chance to watch it, so I'm definitely going to be looking for that.
It's available on YouTube. Look, Travis?
I haven't watched it yet, but I just brought it up on YouTube. And yeah, after the show is over, I'm going to definitely watch it. Because just like Rob Man, I'm also a huge Mega Man fan too.
Miguel, what about yourself?
I hadn't even heard about it. I'll check it out then if somebody can send me the link to it.
I'll check
it out sometime.
The one thing I will have to say, if you have to look past a lot of the low budget of this movie. It's good for what it is, but you can tell that it was shot on a budget. Rob Man, so last but not least, what about yourself?
I started following it when I first saw his website talking about the fact that he was making it, and I followed a lot of the way through the production. And when he finally released it, I was impressed. For a fan to put together a film of that quality on basically no budget. I mean, whatever he could scrape together, he paid for it entirely himself. Unbelievably good. I mean, it was his own interpretation of the story. And it was incredibly well done, I thought. For an independent film, I was very pleased, and I really enjoyed watching it. I was so mad that I wasn't able to actually purchase a DVD copy of it when they had those going. I was not affluent enough at the time. But, yeah, highly recommend it to folks. If you're willing, like me, if you like sort of low-budget or independent film, if you're willing to look past that to the passion and the heart that made it, definitely check it out. Very, very cool.
Yeah, it's a very good story. I'm one for like great storytelling. It does have that, but you will have to look past everything. Like as Rob Man said, and as I've basically stated, guys, it's very low budget, so you have to look past it. But it is a good movie. Okay, last but not least, Xander, you got your question?
Actually, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Okay, all right. Here's a good one. So far, Rob, which mighty number is your favorite?
That's tough. Yeah, my wife is just telling me in the background she likes Mighty number 3. The lady one that's got the lightning, yes. That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, my favorite right now is Mighty number 8. The Desperado looking sniper guy.
She looks really badass. I think, however, being me, I think it's Mighty number 5 with the chain gun, and it's basically a giant 6-shooter gun with chain gun arm. because I grew up on things like Commando and Predator and movies like that and 80s action and seeing this squat tank of a boss that's just obviously military. And it's just, again, it's a chain gun. I'm a sucker for a chain gun. If you could duct tape a chain gun to anything, I'd be like, that's cool! You get a My Little Pony with a chain gun for horn, and I'd be like, yeah! Pull that shit off! So, for me, it was an obvious choice, and I like the fact that he's one of the few designs that isn't humanoid by shape, but more like sort of Airman, Needleman, and a lot of those ones were that were like the very squat with eyes kind of a build. So that's my personal choice so far.
Well, I do like Mighty Number 13. He looks rather interesting in a sense because he looks like more sort of manic, very evil. He's got like the skull plate at the top of his head. And the colour scheme's rather diverse as well, because he's got that sort of purple and like red about him.
I don't think I've seen Mighty Number 13. When did they announce him?
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
I'll show you. Look.
Yep. Please, because
Do share.
Daddy, just sugar.
Sharing, caring.
I know. I just basically came across him when I was doing my my little I got to play PNG for the show, and there he is. He looks very manic, very evil, but very cool at the same time.
Here, hang on. I'm just pasting this into my tab at the top here.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Whoa!
That is pretty cool.
Oh my god! Okay, I'm going to change my answer. I like that a lot, actually. He's very cool. That's, yeah. Now,
That is rad.
I've always been a sucker for, sort of skulls and things like that, so, wow, he's really cool looking. Okay, first, some of my favorite colors are red, black, and purple. Those are my three favorite colors. I love things with skulls and kind of gothic and things like that. And that kind of monster vampire looking things. So yeah. Definitely cool. Thank you for showing me that actually. Where did you find it?
I was basically just doing a Google image search, and I came across him while I was basically putting the images together for the show. And when I saw it, I was just like, that is awesome. He looks beautiful. The colour scheme as well just works so well. And I was just like, okay, let's pop him on there. But he's my new favourite character now. I'm actually going to be putting my my $60 in tomorrow for the Mighty Number 9 Kickstarter. I'm glad to do it. It's actually I think we've got 2 days left, haven't we now?
Yeah, we're down to the 2-day mark, and I'm actually about to throw another $40 in myself so I can get digital versions of it for the other two systems so that I can get it for my Wii U, PS3, and my 360.
Wow.
Oh, I'm a bit that way when it comes to console versions. I have Mega Man 9 and Mega Man 10 on all three systems. So I very much, I want to support the game, but I want to have it on all three platforms. I can compare and contrast. I can see what the different trophies or achievements are from. I'm hoping that when it comes to Wii U, it'll be one of those you can play either on the TV or on the handheld piece, just for the fun of it. But that'll be all up to us in the middle of in the midst of the forum discussion. See if they can do it. Yeah, very true. For this, I'm hoping it's going to have variations in terms of each platform, because at the moment I'm sort of considering it for the Wii U. But I may actually, because I'm looking at donating 60, I may go up to $100 because conversion in the UK is actually kind of nice in comparison, because it makes out, it's $100 here would be about $48, $50.
Now, I got another question for Rob. I know you're getting both physical boxes with your backing order, but if you had to choose, would you choose the physical box for the Nintendo style or the Famicom?
If it came down to it, if it came right down to it and I was forced to choose, it would be the Nintendo style, because I would want that one on my shelf right next to Mega Man 1 through 10.
Nice.
Because I have a limited, actually, I have to do this. Massive shout out to my friend Ryan King, who is one of the original members of the Get Me Off the Moon, the 100,000 Strong, who has been so good to me and so kind to me. And he bought me a Mega Man 10 press kit. It was a fan-made one, but looks so official and so amazing. And that is now up there. And it has a cartridge inside with the fake artwork pops open and has a disc inside that's the soundtrack to Mega Man 10. But, so, yeah, I would want that on there with the rest of them. But I'm very glad that I'm going to be able to get both T-shirts and a plushie and a hardcover signed book.
Yeah, I just put the 60 down. I think I'm going with the Japanese just because I just love the small boxes of the Famicom, and I'm wondering if both cases are going to have the same artwork or if they're going to have different artwork. If they have different artwork, then it's probably going to be a different decision. So I'm not sure yet.
I think now I can't say for sure, but I've got a funny feeling that they will probably do really cheesy American style artwork on the Nintendo style one, and then the Japanese style artwork on the Famicom one. Mm-hmm. In which case, I'm really going to want that next box because I love the horrible old Mega Man artwork.
The box art Mega Man.
The buff Mighty Number 9.
Oh man,
like Stallone.
Oh man, that'd be so good. Standing on the cover with doing the one fist up, like flexing the bicep. Yeah. Oh man.
Instead of having like a mechanical arm, he's just going to have a laser in his hand. And a T-shirt.
Oh, like Mega Man 2. Oh, that's beautiful artwork.
Speaking of Mega Man 2, it's funny you bring that up because I was just thinking about it. I was watching one of the newest Angry Video Game Nerd videos, and he did a retrospective on the Tiger handheld series, and he showed the Mega Man 2 Tiger handheld game. Have you ever had a chance to play that?
I have not, actually. I'm not sure I want to.
It's pretty bad. It has an ammo counter. You can actually run out of ammo while playing the game. And I'm not talking about just for your boss weapons, for just your busters, your cannon.
Mega Buster.
I have such a love-hate for Tiger handhelds because I have a story for you guys. I was really wanting Sonic 2. And I was telling my mom, I was like, man, I really want Sonic 2 for my birthday, and I got the Tiger handheld instead of the actual 2.
You poor man.
I didn't have the heart to tell my mom it was the wrong one either, because she was so proud to get it for me, and I just couldn't do it, but I was just sulking in the corner being like, this isn't right.
Oh god, there with the tears running down your cheeks. Going, this is so awesome. Okay.
He has a spin counter. He runs out of spins.
Oh, god. Oh man. Now, funnily enough, my mother is the only reason I'm actually into Mega Man at all. I used to see the cover, that classic video I told you about all the time, and it looks so hideous. And they had black and white photocopies of the covers. They had taped to pieces of cardboard that would hang on pegs for you to pick up so you could rent the game. And I mean, now the artwork is bad enough, but a 1980s photocopier copy.
Oh gosh.
Honestly, it looked like somebody had just smeared a piece of paper up the center of their crack and slapped it on the front of the cardboard. I mean,
Mega Man.
my parents were thinking, well, why don't you rent that one? I was like, seriously, do I look like the kid that sits in the corner and eats paste? Why would I rent that? Look at this. Give me a break. I'm not back at 7-Eleven playing with my poo-poo. I'm playing video games here. So I refused. And then one night after I had a really good report card, my parents, they went from buying me games to renting me games because I finished them too damn quick. My dad and I went out and rented Castlevania 2. It was going to be the first time I ever played it. And I love that game. I don't care what the haters say. I love Castlevania 2. It's awesome. So we picked it up, went home, not knowing that my mom had decided to go out and rent me a game too. And she rented me Mega Man.
Nice.
And I got in and I was like, Castlevania 2 is going to be awesome. All right. My mom's like, oh, well, I rented you a game. I got you this one. Oh. Thanks, Mom. That's really cool. I'll check it out for a minute then now. And so I sat down and looked at this cartridge, looked at that oh so amazing artwork, put the game in, turned it on, and my brain exploded on the inside of my skull. Because the game is so far from that cover. I mean, let's be honest. Has anyone ever looked at that cover and been like, oh, sweet hot damn, I've got a boner? No. Look at that cover and you're like, why is there a middle-aged man with a floppy hat standing there with his skin broken? What the fuck happened to you, buddy? Like, you've already lost the game.
To be fair though, Rob, man, not to cut you off, but I've always wanted to see the game attached to that box cover. Like, there's a game out there for that box cover, and I want to see what it is.
It's TT.
Yeah, I've seen it. It was Dead Rising when you got the Mega Man outfit. And you shot ping pong balls. And then got eaten by zombies. I mean, that's pretty much it. Look at the guy. I have to admit, I did want to see Mega Man Universe when you could have crappy box art Mega Man. Because that would have been funny. Street Fighter X Tekken, not so funny.
Yeah, it wasn't. Street Fighter X Tekken, they tried to make it funny. I don't know if they've sat there and thought, people will laugh at this, and then...
Well, no, that was planned while Inafune was still at the company, and the series was still going strong. But then they released it anyway in the wake of everything that happened. And it was
like
considered
a slap in the face.
And then when you read the write-up for the character's story, and it basically trolls all the Legends 3 fans because his story is all about being a digger and trying to find Zenny and Refractor shards, and how his last mission is never going to happen.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good job,
Nice job.
Capcom.
Yeah.
It's kind of like telling it's kind of like telling an amputee joke to someone that doesn't have a leg.
Yeah,
and you don't realize it until you look down. You're like, oh.
Yeah, it's just not cool. It's so bad. Let's make fun of these guys now.
Yeah,
so like I just keep seeing Eric Foreman. Oh, Capcom. No. So yeah, it's but Man 1 so far from it. So I ended up actually playing more of that. I played some Castlevania too. So I was like Mega Man, and getting so pissed off at the Yellow Devil. Oh god.
Yeah.
See, I beat Mega Man 2 before I beat Mega Man 1. Because Mega Man 1 just beat the shit out of me. I still kept playing it. And I could get to the wide stages, no problem. Those were a problem, though. The Yellow Devil was always the sticking point until I learned the one-hit kill trick. And then, hey, easier.
I can I get your opinion on something?
Yes.
Mega Man has been able to survive for a very long time, mostly on nostalgia. But there's one aspect of Mega Man that I'm surprised hasn't changed, and it's the difficulty, Mega Man games, latter Mega Man games are maybe not as difficult, but are relatively still just as difficult as the previous titles. What do you think about the fact that Capcom really hasn't succumbed to what I like to call the easing of modern gaming? How modern games today seemingly hold on to your hand, yet Mega Man games, at least the ones that have come out as of late, have still kept to that old style of difficulty. What are your thoughts on that?
Thank God. Thank God they have. I've got to be honest with you. I go back and I play old NES games, and they screw me so bad, and it reminds me of just how much hand-holding we get now. And Capcom, I mean, let's be honest, it's not just Mega Man. Do you remember the final bosses of the Devil May Cry games? They were so fucking cheap. Like they would break your controller and chew on the furniture cheap. They were just mind-blowing. And Capcom has always made games that by the time you get to the end, they're just so friggin' hard. And it's something that I respect. Lost Planet's another one that's just retardedly hard. But I respect it, because those were games and are games for truly hardcore gaming. Like, you have to learn the pattern, you have to memorize, you have to gain the skills to finish those games. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And they're not going to dumb it down for the newer generation. So I like and appreciate that fact, because I've always, like when I first played Megaman 9, it kicked my ass so hard. But I knuckled under and I forced myself. And I was watching guys who were able to do speed runs and all this stuff while I was still barely able to beat 2 bosses, and that's fine. I wanted to learn it my way. And I wanted to get that old feeling back, and it gave it to me. That teeth-grinding frustration and falling into that trap and into that pit and those spikes killing you and into the boss with only 3 bars of health and no extra lives. And, all of it. Thank them for that, because those were the skills that I used to relish. And, I mean, in my day, I'd rent a Mega Man game and I'd finish it the same day. I mean, I used to go through NES games. We had a video store near us that would give you a free rental if you could beat the game before it had to be returned. That was that classic video. And they had a binder that had write-ups of what the ends of all the games were, so you had to tell them and they'd look it up to make sure you were just, blowing smoke. I went back 5 times in one day, and they rescinded the free rentals from me. So, I'm not allowed to get
abusing the power.
Pardon?
Abusing power.
Yeah, I really was. And I didn't mind. I didn't mind paying for my rentals because, whatever, I was still playing the game. But yeah, I used to be able to breeze through the games. And now if I go back and play them, it's so fucking hard. Because we're so used to save points and tutorials and, difficulty that sort of go with your gameplay style. And I like the old school. I'm an old, crusty, bitter old man by this point, and I'm allowed to be that way, damn it. And I like old games. So, thank them for keeping the difficulty up.
Yeah,
Go ahead. I'll do my follow-up after you're done.
No, I was just going to say, it was a couple of weeks ago on the show, I basically said the same thing, because I'm really tired of the fact that the games that come out today basically hold your hand the whole time. And I really miss that old school feel that you're dropped into the situation and you have to figure it out and get through the game. And if you're good at it, you can breeze through it, maybe in a few hours. But nowadays, they got to stretch out tutorials, or press this button to jump, press this button to shoot. Oh, have you tried doing this to beat this enemy? I mean, it's like Eagle Raptor said in one of the episodes of Sequelitis. Get to the point where it's like, yeah, I get it. And it's just ridiculous.
You know what? I was playing through a game quite recently. I was playing Grand Theft Auto 5. I was saying to Xander, I was like really enjoying the game. But one of the things I found most insulting about the game was if you're playing for a mission and if you end up dying about like 3 to 4 times or getting something wrong, it has a skip button on it. It's like press X and skip, and then the story will just continue anyway. And it feels like a sense of accomplishment. It's like, why would you do that?
Well, to me, my favorite version of that is whenever games like Devil May Cry and Ninja Gaiden, after like a certain amount of losses, it would suggest switching over to easy mode.
Yeah.
It would just
I remember
be like,
that.
would you like to switch? Yeah, but back to what I was going to say, I actually was going to quote the Ego Raptor Mega Man X video because I think that's just so hilarious. Have you seen that, Rob? His Sequelitis episode where he talked about Mega Man X?
Many times. Mega Man, why don't you first shut the fuck up?
No, shut your mouth! I know this already.
I get it. Yeah. Oh man, it's the one that really gets me is, for those of us that remember instruction manuals and think to read them, and you read all the different skills and abilities, and you start the game and you try to use them, and they're locked out till the tutorial tells you how to do it.
Yeah.
That pisses me off, because you got, by the time you get through them, you've got some wicked combos you can do for various games. But you're already at the first battle, the first combat, whatever, and you want to try whipping some of these out. No, you can only do the one flash. No, seriously, why can't... Well, can I do the bigot? Oh. Now why don't you try pressing the Y button and you can make a stronger attack? Oh, God.
Honestly, I would say, honestly, some games have kind of turned me off by just the tutorial beginning of the game. Like, there's some games that I haven't played just because I didn't want to go through that beginning of the game. Yeah, I find those more painful than beginning cinematics.
Agreed. I miss when the beginning cinematics were Ninja Gaiden on the NES, the very first game to really use them, and it was just a still image, some story you actually had to, read, and we started. Couple
I don't mind. I can appreciate a good cinematic as long. I'd appreciate maybe a skip button. I appreciate all the work you put into the cinematic, but sometimes I just kind of want to go in and play it. So if you just give me options to skip, I'd like that. I mean, maybe I'll sit through it if I'm in the mood.
Yeah, I have to invest time. I have to invest time to start a new game. I'm like, okay, well, I know it's going to have a 25 cinematics, so let me go ahead and get my food ready, and I'm just going to sit down and watch this real quick, and then I'll finally get to play the game. And that's even before, PS3 has to update. Okay, well, wait another 15 minutes,
Oh, God. It's been 5 minutes since you turned on your PS3. Time for an update.
Now, the worst wonder on that is DC Universe. I actually stopped downloading it because it was taking days.
Oh, it's like 5 hours just to download. If God forbid there's a new update to it, you're going to be there for about a good 4 or 5 hours. That's even on the fastest connection.
I can't even spend like an hour doing it. It was literally, I'll turn it on, it would do it, I'll be like 4 minutes in. Then I'll spend another hour, and it says it's 4 minutes in, and it's just like, okay, I can't do this anymore, I'll part with it. I've literally just put the PS3 away and just went, right, I'm just going to play some Assassin's Creed.
You almost have to just turn on your PS3 and turn on DC Universe just on the off chance you might want to play it eventually. It's kind of like the old baked potato gimmick that, Mitch Hedberg used to have. It's like, sometimes I just throw a baked potato in the oven, just, maybe somewhere down the line, and who knows.
Well, see, this is as much of a game jiggle as I feel like for being this way. I'll put on the PS3, and I'll start downloading the updates, then I'll switch my tuner over to the Xbox 360 setting and actually play something for a while the other one updates, and I'll just switch back every once in a while to check in on it.
You know what the worst thing about it is, and I never understood why they haven't fixed this. If you try to do anything on the PS3 while it's updating or downloading a demo over the internet, it freezes the download. Like, you can't do anything. Like, there have been times where I've set a game to download on the PS3, and it's like, all right, I'm going to hop over Netflix and watch a movie, and in 2 hours, hopefully it'll be downloaded. And I go back to it, and it's only like 3% done.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, and for all that we complain about Sony's updates, Microsoft updates just as regularly, but what's amazing is their updates are, we need to update this game. And it's done. There you go. What is Sony doing wrong? What are they missing that Microsoft gets? Because their downloads take a couple of minutes, and Sony's go make a sandwich, do a crossword, maybe take the kids out, go do some shopping. Next week sometime, you should be able to play your game.
Well, that takes you back to the days of the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. For me, it's the VIC-20, loading up games off of cassette.
Oh, I remember those days.
Load game, whatever. Hit play on the tape. Play with your friends for the rest of the day. Come back around dinner. Play a couple rounds of Tank versus UFO.
I did that. I remember when I got my my ZX Spectrum. I had tape, like this Lincoln tape device. Popped the tape in, and I was going to play. I believe it was Batman. So I popped it in, pressed play, and it was like, it's like weird sounds coming out of the thing. And you're still waiting, and I'm sitting there with my brother. My brother's just like, because I was a kid at the time, my brother's like, sitting there, goes, oh, it's going to be fun, we're going to play the game. 5 hours later. Yeah, where's the game? Oh, look, I can see a picture. And there's like a little bit of a picture coming up. and then just as about to play, the thing just cut off. Like, what happened? We found out that the power supply had overheated because we left it on for the entire day.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
Old technology is so awesome.
I was so happy as soon as I got my Nintendo because I didn't have to part with that crap.
Man. I remember.
Now you just invest in Q-tips and alcohol.
I remember the Christmas I got my Nintendo, and I got Metroid, and I got the Nintendo Player's Guide, and my brother and I sat and played Metroid. And again, my parents had set up a small card table in the room where the Christmas tree was, with a TV on it for us to play. We left that on for I think about 2.5 days straight until it finally overheated and froze. Because we'd play and play and play and play and then pause it. And then we'd go up, lunch, play dinner, then play and then go to bed and leave it on. We just left it, even though we had the passwords, we left it on. And it finally overheated and froze, and we looked at each other and said, okay, maybe we should shut up overnight from now on. But it took 3 solid days, almost, so, no. Nintendo was obviously doing a bit better than the old ZX Spectrum.
It's actually funny, because I remember my experience with that and with my ColecoVision, which I still have. It's actually locked away in a cupboard. I was showing it during a live game video cast that I did on another network called Retro Unlim. And my dad broke this thing out, and the first game we played on it was like Donkey Kong. The whole issue with this thing was that we had to go through about 4 or 5 different versions of this system because my dad just kept blowing them up. And it was more the fact that every night we would sit there and we'd play good 5 to 6 hours before bedtime. He'd play his game, then we'd play our games on it. And the thing just would, the big, huge power supply, it looked like something reminiscent of the Xbox 360 power supply. It would just go, So we got another one, and then the same thing happened with that. We had it for a good year before that failed, and then the next one. We literally had a stack of ColecoVision controllers, a slew of games, because we kept buying more and more of these consoles. And the final one that managed to survive, it actually outlasted my father, God rest his soul. He passed on in March. But that, it was one of the fun little things that I could reminisce. Now, just recently purchased Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. for my Wii U, reminiscing about those times with him. But it was just so hilarious. Every time he would be tinkering with the wires of the thing, trying to get it working again, trying everything to get this power supply working or get the controllers working because something happened with the buttons. But it was a fun little console, and it was, as I said, my Nintendo, touch wood, ever since I had it, I had my Nintendo Entertainment System that he purchased for me, and I still have it to this day until I lent it to a friend of mine who's decided not to give it back. So,
Do you have the name and address of this friend so that we can go visit them and reclaim your property?
You'd have to take a plane down here just to go and get it. But I'm looking at a deal at the moment. I've got one of my gaming friends. Basically, he's looking at getting rid of his old Nintendo Entertainment System, so I'm going to get that. And I was preciously donated a Famicom, a family computer, the Japanese version of the NES, by a friend of mine who I went down to his house and he was just like, "Here you go." I was like, "What? Why are you giving me this? This it's the Famicom." And he's like, "No, don't play it. Here you go. You can have it. I know you like consoles." So that's sitting snugly in my room as well.
How has this friend of yours gotten away with not returning it?
She asked, she was going for a moment. She was like, "Oh, I really need something." She was held up in bed, and very sickly at the time. And then she goes, "Oh, can you loan it to me?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll loan it to you." And then afterwards, she just stopped talking to me. Like, "Okay, can I have my Nintendo Entertainment System back?" "You're going to reply eventually?" "No." And I went back to the address that I sent it to. She's not living there anymore, so.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know where she is, and I don't know my contact.
Well, you know what? I hope she has to replace a 72 pin. Karma.
You know what? That actually really pisses me off. Because I'm kind of weird this way, but I have the NES my parents got me for Christmas way back in the day. The very first NES I ever got, and it's still in top condition. I took good care of it. And I have other Nintendo systems in this house, but nothing will ever replace that one. Yeah. Because that's the one my parents bought me, and I have a very strong personal attachment to that system. So to hear that something like that has happened, that pisses me off.
Yeah,
so,
I had two consoles, and if it wasn't for my Super Nintendo, which my dad, because the NES my dad bought me second hand, but with the Super Nintendo, he actually went and bought this thing new. And I can literally pinpoint the moment when I knew they bought it for me as well, because I was going for their drawers in their room up at Christmas, before Christmas time, and I was like, there's a Super Nintendo, is that for me? No, that can't be for me. Oh my god. And I'm thinking, it's for the whole family, they bought it for everybody. And my dad literally gave me the console, Happy Christmas sign. I was in tears. I still have that as well. That's why it doesn't irk me as much as it did.
Okay.
If I got my Super NES, was gone, I would be basically going ape. But that's still here. It's still in good condition. Excuse me.
Good.
And the NES, even though I love the console, and it was the first console I ever owned that he bought me, it's the same thing with the Super NES. It's that's there. It's mine. I've still got the same. The first game I ever got with it as well is actually in my hand, which is Super Mario World. And it's the same what you had with Mega Man. I spent literally 2 days without sleep completing Super Mario World. I had that. He bought me that and Bart's Nightmares. And I remember that so vividly because he literally just went out of his way. They didn't have much money at the time as well, and he went out of his way and bought that for me. And that will forever be my moment with my dad sort of thing. And it's but yeah, with that, if I ever see it again, or if she ever decides to give it back to me, that would probably be a cold day in hell.
I still wish I could play my copy of Super Mario World. Unfortunately, the battery inside is pretty much dead.
In the SNES or in the cartridge?
In the cartridge. It doesn't save anymore, unfortunately. I tried getting it fixed, but the guy I took it to didn't do anything. I think just kind of opened up the game case and then sealed it again and was like, here, I fixed it.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know. It's a little, I thought, I don't know, but if you do decide to get an NES, do you want the original front loader, or are you going to try to look for a top loader?
I'm going to get the front loader, but if I do actually come across the top loader, I'll probably grab that as well. Excuse me. I had a frog in my throat. I'm actually, at this point in time, looking at the instructions to build an Intoaster. Because I like to do my little mod projects. I recently redone a couple of my 360 pads. I'm kind of confident that I'm working on a fix at the moment to turn my Famicom so that it actually works the normal AV leads instead of that big box thing that it has. And you have to switch.
You mean the multi-out?
Yeah, it's a Japanese one, so it's really weird because the power supply won't work without this multi-out being in the TV.
Huh.
I'm working on a way to sort of put the Famicom itself onto using the AV outlets on the TV with that, but my goal is to create an Intoaster.
I just really want the Retron 5.
Oh my god. It doesn't look sexy.
It does.
It is. Have you seen the footage? Like the gameplay footage they've been releasing online? Like seeing Castlevania 3 in HD?
Don't tell me. I refuse to watch it because I want to wait. When that system comes out, that for me is going to be like N64. I'm going to have a ritual of opening that and setting it up. It's going to be a beautiful, amazing thing because that is going to take a place of honor downstairs by my 55-inch LED Samsung television, and I'm going to be playing everything on that. Oh, sweet pretty God. I cannot wait.
Wait a minute, the Retron 5 actually can play Castlevania 3? Because isn't that one of the more notorious cartridges that can't be played on emulators?
The Retron 5 will play all of those games so far, that were notoriously unplayable on clone systems. It is as close to perfect as you will ever get. Plus, it will upconvert to 1080p, and it will also use HDMI. It will beef up the sound, make it sound better. Like it's the perfect. And they've also, the reason it's been delayed, they are resculpting the case to allow you to put a power-based converter on it and play Master System games through the Genesis slot.
Oh my god!
I'm not shitting you. They've made the press announcement. They are reshaping the console so you can use a power-based converter, so it will also be a Master System.
Oh,
One system to rule them all.
It truly is.
I'm adding rules for Retro 5.
Hopefully, in terms of emulated NES consoles, it does better than the Generation Next. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
That was horse shit.
Oh, it'll blow it out of the water.
Oh, dude, no, these are passionate retro gamers who have done their homework. I mean, they wouldn't make promises like this if they couldn't keep them, and they've already released footage of it playing Castlevania 3, so it's sad.
That
was such an underwhelming console. It really was, and I had such high hopes for it.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the reasons that actually put me off those kind of retro consoles was the fact that they wouldn't play all games. Because it's, I'm bad like Nintendo, Sega, whoever. They never left a blueprint of what the actual specs of their consoles were. So these guys had to literally just work from scratch and and attempt to emulate this. But if this can do what it says on the tin, we're going to have a lot of happy gamers. Because people will be popping old nostalgic consoles, in a nice little bit of casing and playing everything on that.
Oh man!
What's going to make the Retro 5 console really nice is there's a setting on there where you can actually put in scale lines to kind of give you the old school feel.
Yep.
Oh man, I cannot wait to try that. Now they're going to redesign the console so you can put the power converter on there. Are they going to do the same thing for 32X for the Genesis?
I don't think so.
Darn it.
It might be worth testing, but I don't think so. So far, they've only announced that it'll play all the Famicom, the NES, Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, Genesis Mega Drive, Master System through the power-based converter, and it'll play the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy games.
That sounds like a sexy system.
I think it does enough.
I can't wait to plug Metroid 2 into the front of that thing and play it in 1080p.
Oh, God, I wish I had $100 right now.
I just the fact that you said Metroid 2, which I wanted to like Metroid 2. I tried, but I just...
It's the only Metroid I've never beat.
Yeah, me either. It's just, are you the same one like me? You get lost in it? Because I tell you, man, I can't play that game for more than 10 minutes without sitting there going, where am I?
Oh, dude, I got the spider ball. I actually got far enough once to get the spider ball. And after that, I was just kind of, wait, where the fuck am I? Did I take the left to Albuquerque? No. Wait. Let me go back to that cave that looks exactly the same, and then I'll backtrack to this cave that looks the same, and now I'm in another cave that... What? Did I kill that Metroid? There's an empty egg there. I've been here before. Okay, what about over this? Yeah, I could not figure that game out for the life of me. I was like... I tried to draw a map, and it ended up looking like I was trying to draw spaghetti, and I kind of gave up.
It's like that Robot Chicken episode where Mario and Luigi end up in, Grand Theft Auto.
Oh my God!
Vice City.
Have you guys seen the Castlevania one?
Yeah.
Oh, it was so hilarious. He's whipping Dracula. Dracula's like, oh, he got me on the tip. Hits him in the dick. Oh, awesome.
For Mega Man 2, you kind of got to go back to... That was one of the early original Game Boy games. Yeah, it is kind of difficult to play. I go back, I still play it on my Super Game Boy, but I still am astounded by what they accomplished in that title for the time it came out.
Which game is this?
Metroid 2.
Metroid 2. Mega Man 2. I was like, what?
Oh, I thought you said.
Yeah, I was pretty sure you said Mega Man 2. I was like, where the hell did that come from?
Maybe I did. I don't know. But yeah,
I'm not the only
2.
one drinking the beers tonight, then, am I?
Speaking of Mega Man for the handheld, I don't know if you had this on your Mega Man review, because like I said, I'm still going through it, but have you had a chance to play the Mega Man games for the Wonder Swan?
No. There were Mega Man games on the Wonder Swan?
I never even heard of that.
Yeah, I saw a few videos of them because I was thinking about it, because I remember them releasing games for Mega Man games for the Wonder Swan, but I wasn't too familiar. Yeah, they got I think at least 2 it looks like on there. One of them is actually based off of the Battle Network series, so I didn't think they had it that far into the lifespan. I don't know how long.
Was the other one Mega Man in base?
I believe so, yeah.
And I think it's only a prototype. I don't think they actually fully released that, did they?
No, I think they did. Yeah, 1999. Okay. It was released in Japan.
Say, the one that I am the most interested in getting my hands on a complete copy of, because I've only got a card only right now, is Mega Man for the Sega Game Gear. Just to have it complete.
Sega Game Gear? I never knew they released one.
They did, and it's very hard
really
to find.
Good.
When you find it on eBay, bring money.
I just wanted to know because I had heard that they had done some for the Wonder Swan. I mean, there's a video up for Mega Man Battle Network for the Wonder Swan, and I believe Mega Man and Bass was also on there. I just figured that'd be a game that Rob Man would have played, but apparently he hasn't gotten that version of it yet.
No, I don't actually have a Wonder Swan at all, which is kind of strange, but I should probably get my hands on one of those in a Neo Geo Pocket Color at some point. I just remember seeing photos of a prototype cartridge for either the Neo Geo Pocket Color or the Wonder Swan that was Mega Man in base. And it was incredibly rare. There's this one fellow on Community that showed off his collection, and I mean, he had the original hand-painted cells of the artwork from the Mega Man 7 instruction book. And I don't know how he got his hands on them, and if I can ever find out where he lives, I will probably end up breaking in and stealing them. But, it was just beautiful. And he had these prototype cartridges. Like, he must have had an in with Capcom to get this stuff. But it was unbelievable. You know,
I mean, security guards when they were doing, like, the bin rush. Oh, these need to go in the bin? Yeah, sure they will. Mm-hmm.
I
Rob's
promise
pull out his mullet again.
Rob's going to what?
I said, Rob's going to pull out a mullet again.
Right.
Don't forget the
groceries. I get to wear my sweet mullet.
It's just like a burglar's mask and a mullet hanging out of it.
By the way, if I may just give a quick cheap plug, just so everyone knows, visit happyconsolegamer.com. You'll see the preview screen there. The DVDs are almost ready. For those that would like to purchase Happy Console Gamer the movie on DVD, it will be out soon. I believe at present, now I might be corrected by Johnny, so if I'm wrong, please don't kick my ass, but I believe that we are looking at a price point of $28 shipped for everybody. That's to anywhere. And that's for the movie and shipping. So it's $20 for the movie, $8 for shipping, and it has the full movie. There is a making-of documentary for the film, the making of the Relic system and games, the outtakes, and it also has an Easter egg. So it's a lot of extra content packed in there. The cover art is done by the incredible Hanzo, and that cover art, you can see the preview of it on happyconsolegamer.com. And so for anyone that's interested in purchasing a physical copy of the movie, they are limited release. We've only been able to make a certain number of them. So keep your eye on that website. The shop will be up, and you will be able to purchase them through the happyconsolegamer.com website when they're available.
I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, me too.
Is it possible to get a signed copy?
I don't know if we're going to be able to do that because they're actually coming in. They are shrink wrapped and sealed.
Oh, okay.
They are an official sealed product. So we've had them printed and made up and shrink wrapped, so they will be sent out in sealed condition.
I love getting the original content, especially something. I mean, come on now. It wasn't the most amazing movie in the world, but I loved it. I was engrossed. A lot of passion and love went into that movie. I've watched it so many times. I love getting that kind of original content signed by the people who created it. It makes it more special.
Why don't you just get it, open it, and then send it back to them to get them to sign it.
Well, that was the other thing. We talk logistics, and I mean, I get to see Johnny. I try to see him as often as I can, but usually, if I get over there, we'll film as many episodes as we can because I don't get a whole lot of time. So to sign all of them before they go out would be a pretty massive undertaking.
You just got to rubber stamp it. You just got to get his autograph on a rubber stamp and just be like, poof, poof.
I would refuse to do that. That's so wrong to me. If you're going to sign something, you have to sign it by hand. You know, to me, that's not right to do it any other way. It really does become from you yourself.
I will say it's a good movie for the sense that, good movies, and I remember I've told you this before, Rob, that good movies have those lines that everyone quotes, and it's one of those movies that all of us, of course we do the don't forget the groceries, but, just until next time, dishes, stuff like that, your friends can sit there and quote each other and you can kind of bond on a good movie,
Don't forget the groceries.
That's my wife reminding me not to forget the groceries again.
Well,
now I got a question.
As someone who's a film buff myself, when I first watched a Happy Console Gamer movie, I sat there, I looked at it, and I saw it from two perspectives. Because whenever I watch a movie, I try to switch my brain off. Because it's like with video games at a certain point as well. When you start critiquing them, you can't switch it off. So you start looking at a game, and then you start going through the graphics, and you go through the voiceover work, then you start going through the gameplay and the quality, and it's just like, oh, switch off. With that movie, actually, I was able to engross myself in it. I was looking forward to it. I watched it. I was going through like a certain thing at the time when I was watching it, so I was sort of watching it in parts, trying to finish my exams at the same time, and I wholeheartedly enjoyed it. I loved it. I thought the scripting was there, the characters were there. It was very tongue-in-cheek as well. It's like yourself and Rob Man were playing characterized versions of yourself, and it really worked. And I could name like the characters and the genre of gaming that you guys were parodying in the movie as well.
Well, it was the reason that there's so much extra stuff on the DVD is because honestly, I mean, the movie's already free. It's there. It's out there, and to charge somebody to take that and put it on a disc, well, anyone can do that. You guys can do that. That's fine. We had to do something more.
Yeah.
When I say we, I mean Johnny, because I'll tell you, I'm not going to lie about this. He does everything on that show. It's his camera, his audio equipment. He has the Mac Pro. He has Final Cut Studio. He has all the software. He edits and cuts these things. The Mega Man retrospective damn near killed him trying to put that together, and the movie was just such a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
So he edited together all of these special features, the gag reel and bloopers, the making of the system, the making of the movie, like all of this stuff. He painstakingly crafted those and put them in and worked with another fellow we know to author the DVD properly. It has a full menu system and everything. So it's not just a disc that you throw in and it just runs through everything. It's a full proper retail release DVD. But we had to do something more. So hopefully everyone's going to enjoy that extra stuff. But the movie was just, it started out with the most basic idea. We were supposed to film it over a summer. It's supposed to take like a year. It's supposed to be just like one summer, 3 months, really easy, a couple of pickups here and there, and we're done. And it grew, and his vision for it grew as we were going with it until it became what you saw. But, for anyone that hasn't seen it, you're not going to see any Academy Award winners here. Don't expect a budget because it was made for what we had in our pockets at the time, which was nothing. But it's this is what happens when you give a video camera to two bored video game nerds. This is what you get. And so I hope for that people will enjoy it.
There's nothing more classic than you going to get the groceries in your outfit dressed up like Solid Snake. I lost it. I almost fell out of my chair. That is so classic. I loved it.
You know what? We were filming that by the IGA right near the building I lived in at the time. I used to live in New West right near Johnny. And in the movie, when I say that I'm moving away and buying a house, that was true. There are parts of truth in that. I now live about a half an hour to 45-minute drive from where John lives. I used to live up the street. So I did move away. And I have got the 2 kids and the full-time job, and it's, but that scene, we're filming it. And we asked the manager of the IGA if we could use one of their grocery carts to do the scene. So the manager and his assistant manager are standing in the store with the door locked, watching us as he films this scene. And he made me do that 9 times, and every time he's like, no louder. No louder. I'm like, it's 3 a.m. in the middle of New West, dude. We're going to get in trouble. No, louder. One more time and louder. Just a little louder. And the final take is the one that you actually see in the film. I was so scared we were going to get arrested or somebody was going to run out and beat the hell out of me for waking them up. Or, God, because I was screaming at the top of my lungs. And there I am. I love groceries. I want to live here. I'm going to move into the grocery store.
It was worth it.
Oh, God. That and Mr. Horton, I loved the Scott, the fellow that played Mr. Horton, the old man. We had trouble filming that scene where he's coming up the stairs and I'm heading down. And says, oh, Rob, man, off on another one of your adventures, eh? Because as he's coming up the stairs, he's muttering those curses, and we kept laughing and ruining the takes. It was so funny. We had to evacuate the stairwell except for John with the camera. And he's just sitting there filming, and he had to bite his tongue so he wouldn't laugh. That guy was so hilarious. Oh, man.
Good.
It's always worse when it's someone you know. I was filming on location recently, and one of the actors sort of backed out. So I had a friend of mine take the role, and he did it so well. He's like, the scene was pretty much straightforward. He's like, oh, you're Michael Burhan. He just made it his own, to the point he was like, can you shake my hand? I'm shaking his hand, and he's spending the rest of his scene staring at his hand while I'm cracking up, nearly pissing myself laughing because this guy he's just sitting there really obsessed with his hand, looking all voyeuristic. And I could not stop laughing. We had to do 12 takes because it was just every single time. But it's brilliant.
Well, it's like the Power Game Player episode that's in there where Giannis, the bad guy, reviews Megaman. There are several. I don't know if I should really. Anyway, while they were filming this, they did several takes. They did several tries on this, and again, they ended up. Everybody, they just left the camera set up and left him in the room because everyone that was watching was laughing so hard at his antics and the stuff that was coming out of his mouth. That one by one, John was kicking them all out of the room. Get the fuck out! You're laughing, I can hear it. Get out! Until it was just him, the camera, and Brian Milne, who's playing Giannis. And eventually, even John, I can't do it, I gotta leave. And he ran out, and he just left the camera running while he went for an hour. And then he picked all the best bits and put it together into that episode.
Oh, God. Yeah,
yeah.
It always happens, especially when something's just really funny. You just can't stop laughing at them as well.
Good time.
He was friggin' hilarious. Oh man, he was so good. A lot of the humor in that movie was improvised. It sort of happened on the spot and then ended being mixed in. Almost every line that Giannis has, when he pops in and he's like, I don't believe it. What was it? Well, right when we found the console, and he shows that he's been working with the head of the video game agencies, and the agent's been trying to track us down and kill us. And he says something about it's make believe like Leprechaun's Fairy, Marlon Brando, and that just popped out of his mouth. And the first take, we all laughed so hard we almost peed, and then we had to refilm it because we left it in. And the same with the I'm always on the right side, and I said, no, you're on his left, and no, you're the right, that whole thing. Again, that popped out. He said, I'm always on the right side, and I just looked at him and said, no, wait, you're on his left. And we just started having that discussion, and we kept going.
My favorite Jonas scene is actually in the beginning when he buys that copy of Phantasy Star. And you see him run one direction, and you see him run the opposite direction.
It's really funny. In one of the takes for that, he runs the one direction, he runs the other direction, then you see someone. It looks like someone's running after him. And it was actually just someone who was out for a jog, but it looked like somebody was trying to chase him down. Oh, awesome. Oh, man. And, when the guy's running out of the shop and he gets shot back, and it looks like blood squirts out his ass, that was DJ Robichaud, who's another good friend of the show, and he actually took a header on the door frame on the way out. Like,
oh, wow.
That wasn't faked. But he was so committed to it. He took the header and he fell into the road, and they kept the take. Everyone ran over like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" He was like, "I got a headache." But no, he's a trooper. He stuck it out.
That reminds me of a small movie I was making in high school for senior project. I was making a zombie movie, and there was a scene where the car was broke down and I was like bleeding from the head, and I just remember we were filming. My mom was filming this, by the way, and we were trying to film off the road where we weren't around a whole lot of people, you know, because we knew it would cause attention. And I just remember this little old lady in a Lincoln slowly coming up and being like, "Are you guys okay?" You know? Like, yeah, we're just filming a movie.
It always happens, especially when you're good at filmmaking. There's always people who just come up and they start looking at the camera. The worst one I had, I remember I was working on this comedy movie called Slap or Die, and it was literally just about handball. And every single time there was a shot, and there was this person, she would come near the shot, and she would look at the camera and was like, "What are you doing?" But I was shooting a movie. So then she would blatantly like make it out like she's walking past us and keep looking at the camera. And then she walked from the other side, still looking at the camera. And every time the director's like, "Cut." Waiting for the woman to go. Start shooting again. Okay, action. Walking past again. And then it's like getting closer and closer to the camera, and we're all just like sitting there going, "Okay, stop, that's it, we're done for today, can't do it." And she's like, "I'm not in the way, am I?" Really? That's where like one more moment he probably was gonna like kill her. Probably making a documentary about him hiding a body. It was just It's just funny that people do.
We were filming some of the scenes in the parkade underneath Donnie's building, and these people would just walk out like they were going to go to their car, and that's fine, but then they'd stop, and they'd just stand, and they'd stare, and they'd watch, and we're going, "I'm sorry, can we help you? What are you doing?" "We're growing corn." "We're filming a movie. What does it look like we're doing? Can we help you?" "You got a permit?" "I'm sorry, are you on a strata council or something? What's going on?" "Well, you have permission to do that?" "You have permission to park there?" "Yeah." "Okay, goodbye." Move along. And we'd eventually have to pack everything up and go upstairs, wait 10 minutes, and then come back down after they'd driven away. I mean, it was such a pain in the ass. I don't get it.
It's basically everyone like film stars, don't they? That's the problem. They'll sit there and they'll just snoop, and then just get in the way to the point where you're just like pulling. If you had any hair, you pull it out. You know, it's just literally just. I don't know. It's probably a weird obsession people have just to get in the movies. So one time we even decided to write because we had kids basically because we had a fight scene. They're like, "Oh, that looks fake. Look, I'll show you how to do a fight scene." We're all just standing there like freaking fake fighters. So
you know, I don't want to. I hate to backtrack a little bit, but I wouldn't be able to sleep well tonight if I didn't throw it out there. You know, I think the resident Metroid fanboy and former Super Metroid World Champion, I have to ask Rob, man, favorite Metroid game, favorite Metroid moment. I'm wondering that ever since I seen the video.
Super Metroid. Favorite Metroid game of all time, Super Metroid. Hands down. Favorite Metroid moment? When the hatchling came back, sucked the power out of Mother Brain and put it into Samus. Blew my mind. I played that, I rented it when it first came out, and that was another one of those games that I managed to finish within the first rental. I don't know how, but I did it.
That's
and,
amazing.
Like, of course, I didn't sleep. I stocked up on Jolt Cola. I remember Jolt Cola. I'm that old. And pounded back Jolt Cola, stayed up all night, played all the way through it, and that was just such an amazing moment that happened. That the Metroid came in, sucked all the power out of Mother Brain, jumped onto your head, fed it into you, and then you just blew the shit out of her. So amazingly cool, and I will always say that Super Metroid. Well, and that game was the first of that kind, because that and then Symphony of the Night was the first follow-up of that style that I remember. Coined the term that everyone hates, Metroidvania, but that I think is absolutely apt. But yeah, so there you go. That is my favorite Super Metroid moment, for sure.
For very little storyline, well, dialogue in that game, it really did encompass a very powerful story, and I'll admit, I near shed a tear whenever I seen that happen. Watching the last Metroid die, the one that thought Samus was its mother, it was an amazing moment in gaming.
Yeah, it was a really intense scene, and I think that, it's incredible how much story they were able to pack into these old games without having cinematics, without having all of that, and without having dialogue. And yet they were able to very succinctly create and make a powerful, moving story out of that. It kind of makes you wonder why they seem to need all of these fancy graphics and cinematics and everything else these days.
Let me put something across to you as well, though, Rob, man. There's, unless you've been living under a rock, there's this whole argument with Anita Sarkeesian going on about it being that there's no strong female role models in gaming, and that women get placed in a bubble as being the victim, so to speak. What would you say to something like that? Do you think that's true, or do you believe that it's the other way around? Because you're talking about Samus here, who's an extremely powerful female protagonist.
Now, I think there is a distinct lack of strong female leads in the video game industry at this time. There are shining examples. Samus was one until they made Metroid Other M, which I refuse to finish and refuse to acknowledge for the fact that they first gave her a voice because she should never have been given a voice. Same with Link from Legend of Zelda. If they ever give him a voice, somebody gets punched in the dick. Second, they turned her into a simpering schoolgirl crush person in Other M. Samus is a tough-as-nails, hard-ass bounty hunter, strong, powerful, by a strong moral code, and who does what needs to be done. Very positive female role model. Commander Shepard, if you played through Mass Effect as Fem Shep, which my wife did, and to me there is only one Shepard and it's Fem Shep, and yet another strong and very positive female role model for video games, because she was decisive, she was strong, she was charismatic, she had leadership, she took zero shit from anybody and did what needed to be done, even though it flew in the face of all of the politics of the game. I thought it was fantastic. So, but outside of those two, there aren't a lot that spring to mind, and I feel that there could be more. I know that sort of the female gamers and girl gaming and all the rest of that has become a bit of a hot button issue these days. All this fake geek girl crap that's floating around. And I, for one, am one of those people that's really sick of hearing about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I agree wholeheartedly about that, because when she does make her points, she didn't make them in the right way, if that makes sense. She was just more sort of on the attack.
Is this the girl that had that women versus tropes in video games?
Yeah. She basically took 158 grand of people's money, put some second-rate videos out there, and then tries to pass it off as educational information. Even to the point she wants her
She was exposed as not being a gamer.
Yeah, she wasn't at all.
There was a video that was brought out that was a lecture she had done at a university where she stated unequivocally she's not a gamer. She doesn't like playing video games. Yeah. She doesn't find them fun. So if we're talking about her and her opinion on things, for all that I can agree that there are not enough strong female roles. There is, but you have to remember that video gaming has been historically a male-centric pastime. Yeah. The adoption of nerd culture into the mainstream and the adoption of video gaming as an acceptable pastime by the mainstream is still very recent. And the fact that a lot more girls have gotten into it and into nerd culture in general is recent for the most part. And so it's yes, dear, I know. I said to the mainstream, you were the exception in our generation. You know that. My wife is giving me 30 looks now. I've got to put my foot right up my own ass.
I've known 3 exceptions myself as well.
I have a theory as to why this whole hatred against fake geek girlism exists. And would you guys mind if I shared that with you?
No, go for it.
Okay. It comes down to this. You have to take this back to, for old guys like me, and I know I'm amongst peers here, when I was in elementary school, I didn't tell people I played video games because that was a quick way to get your ass kicked. Nerd culture back was so underground, you didn't talk about it unless you knew you were amongst a group of friends that were into this thing, hiding in those dark basements and watching Star Wars for the 75th time and memorizing every line of dialogue. We learned and memorized these things through passion, through interest, through a desire to know these things. These days, anyone Wikipedia can just pop into the internet and become an expert on something in 5 minutes. This is something that Patton Oswalt has talked about extensively. But what I understand now is that along with that sort of social ostracism came a certain amount of anger and mistrust. And a lot of it is subconscious. We don't know that it's there. We don't realize it's there. Because back then, if there had been, shall we say, courageous young women who were wanting to dress up as comic book characters and hang out at Comic-Con, there would not have been many complaints. But now, because a lot of the, as people would put it, quote-unquote, media-chosen beautiful people were antagonists to the nerd culture. They made fun of us. They picked on us. They laughed at us. If we wanted to try and ask a girl out that looked like a lot of the model types that cosplay now, we would have been laughed at and rejected in the most publicly shaming way possible.
Yeah.
And that stays in the subconscious. That's there. And so now that what we're into is what they consider cool, because even if we try to get into like football or sports or something like that, we would have been laughed off the field, we would have been kicked out, we would have been, it would not have been accepted, and it would have been embarrassing. They're now into what we're into, and we feel we have to defend this, because subconsciously we believe that there's still the antagonist, there's that anger and resentment there.
Yeah.
And so that's where fake geek girlism comes from. That, well, because you don't look like the stereotypical nerd type, I believe you're taking this away from me now. You who was so mean to me is now taking the thing that I felt made me special. And I have to rebel against that. I have to get angry at that. And I think that's where this backlash has come from. And I think that I think that although they don't understand it, that's where it comes from, and that they don't realize how toxic it seems. I think that a lot of us don't. The nerd groups don't realize how toxic it seems. They're just so angry. Like, would they walk up to me, who, let's admit, I don't look like I did in high school. I look like a white Steve Earle in high school. Okay? But nowadays, I'm in, better shape. I'm more, more broad-shouldered and still out quite a bit. I've got the shaved head. I've got some tattoos and earrings. Would they walk up to me and insist I name the birthday of every Green Lantern to prove my nerd cred? No. But if you have a curvaceous young lady that's dressed up in a Green Lantern costume, yeah, you're getting guys that do that. You know what? Maybe they don't know that. But they're still... but here's the thing.
Yeah,
maybe they don't know that. And that's fine, but they're passionate enough about this to dress up in that costume because they love that character and they want to, show how much they like it. Maybe they want to learn more about it. So instead of getting mad at them for not knowing as much as you do, strike up a conversation and teach them. Maybe they want to learn. Maybe they'd like to discuss the nuances of the comics with you. But instead of just jumping on the defensive and getting mad at them and saying they're trying to titillate you with their flesh and make fun of you, maybe they actually just would like to wear their costumes. And yes, they want to show off their bodies a bit because they're proud of the fact that they're shapely. But maybe give them kudos for good seamstress work. Maybe give them kudos for being into the comic. And maybe talk to them. And if they don't know as much about it, share your knowledge with them. This is supposed to be an open and loving group of people. Our nerd culture was about sharing passions, sharing enthusiasm, and putting out good energy, supporting each other. Let's bring that back, man. That's what I want to see.
It doesn't help.
See, I think you still got that core of real nerds who are just very friendly, who do want to bring new people into it. Here's what I'm thinking is going on, because I'm starting to notice this whole, anti-woman motif that people seem to think is going on when it comes to geek culture. And I think what's happening is I think as the nerd culture is coming more and more mainstream now, you've got a lot of casual people coming in, and I think what most people don't realize is when it comes to, like, for example, the internet, you do have that really strong core of the community that is very helpful and is very reasonable, and does do the stuff that Rob Man talks about. But you also have the top layer of, and there's no other way I can describe it, trolls. They're guys that do push buttons and that are very angry and mean-spirited and stuff like that. And as real geeks, we know that they exist, and we know that there's nothing that's going to do about it. Trolls are always going to be there no matter what. But as more casual people are coming in, they're seeing that top layer, and they think that's what the entire geek culture is. And they don't realize you just got to look past it. You just got to ignore the trolls, do your thing, and you're gonna get through that, and you're gonna find the real true nerd culture, which is actually very likable, very very. Yeah, I've never met anybody who's been anti-woman when it comes to the whole girl geek thing or girl gamer thing. I just think that too many people that are coming in unknowingly are paying attention to that dirty top layer, and I think if they just reach a little bit deeper, they'll find the real nerd shine.
Yeah, no, I agree. On both.
Fair enough.
And Rob,
the squeaky wheels. Oh, sorry. The squeaky wheels will always get grease. The loudest are always the most noticeable, and it's just unfortunate. It's the loudest that are making this horrible backlash. I agree with your point there, though. If they do stick it out, and they do, how many amazing relationships have developed through cons? I mean, I've heard of a lot of them where the nerds get together and it's a place where we can feel safe. And yeah, I've heard of a lot of amazing and strong relationships coming out of it. So, very cool.
Well, there's another thing I would say, like, I myself, I was a bit of a closet gamer and a bit of a closet wrestling fan as well. Back in the day, because, I would literally get ostracized for all those sort of things. And now, I believe, now that I'm older and now that the internet has become a huge thing, I found the majority of my friends, people with same interests like yourself, Xander, Miguel here, most of the guys on this show are basically people that I've either met from YouTube, Facebook, or even the Happy Console Gamer Forum, because we've shared those experiences. And, and two of our female hosts who are not on the show today because they have other things going on at the moment, Nikki Mills and Samantha Jennings, are female gamers. And, I found them, Nikki I found through a mutual group called Fanboys Anonymous, and Samantha, I found her randomly talking about how she was a female gamer when people were looking at, I believe it was a tongue-in-cheek picture talking about how some girls are saying that they're female gamers, and guys are like, oh, that's bullshit. And she's like, well, I'm a female gamer, and I don't look like that. And I just messaged her and said, hey, would you like to come onto the show that we're doing, blah, blah, blah. And we all hit it off from there, and she's now become a huge, member of our crew. I think the whole ostracized thing, again, I agree kind of with Miguel's point of view, because I think it's an issue because it's become so mainstream now, and you have those people who are part of the mainstream kind of doing that, who are the trolls, so to speak, where the lot of us who are actually gaming fans tend to do what we've always done, show appreciation and love for one another and not segregated anybody if they want to basically come into this world. And that's
basically it's a growing pain right now. Yeah. The video gaming culture is very mainstream now. I mean, way more mainstream than it was even in the golden period of the early to late 90s. Which I've always thought was the golden age of video games. It's very much a mainstream thing right now. So you are seeing that transition between the very centralized cluster of hardcore geeks versus the bro gamers, or the girl gamers that maybe don't play it as much maybe don't play as hardcore as other people do, but they still play Wii's, they still play World of Warcraft, they still casual gamer, and we're starting to transition into that period where all these different groups are coming together, and there's going to be some growing pains. It's going to take a while. It's a while just for games to get mainstreamed anyway, so there's going to be some tough time, but you just got to stick through it, and it's all going to even out soon enough.
And one other thing, go on, Robert.
I was going to say, actually get a bit of a perspective on this. I believe the missus would like to give in her 2 pieces.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, it's sort of. Oh, sorry. Hi, it's Rob's wife. I was just going to say, it's sort of on the topic, but I've even made 2 separate Facebook accounts. One for just sort of my family and sort of people that I know sort of off internet. And then I've made a separate one that's through the Happy Console Gamer deal. And it's just been great because I just, as a stay-at-home mom especially, I don't know really anyone except for Rob and sort of his friends group that are at all into sci-fi or gaming or any of that kind of stuff. So I don't get to talk about, the sort of nerdy stuff at all, generally. So I use my second account through the Happy Console Gamer and all that. And I'm so excited to talk to people that are into games and sci-fi movies, Star Trek, and all this sort of geeky stuff that, I talk to with other moms, and they look at like I've got lobsters coming out of my ears, so it's pretty awesome. So it's great. I mean, I do definitely see, I don't know a lot of people in general, especially other moms that are into gaming at all, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
there you go.
As being a father myself, I've got 2 cool little girls that are sort of growing up in gaming, but their mum just absolutely has no clue. She'll be like, if I was... I think the only gaming experience we kind of shared is when we were playing House of the Dead Overkill together. And that's
yes.
And that's pretty much it. That's the extent. And she would not really play games. She would sit there and go, I like this game. Okay, let's play a game of this. And we'll play a bit, and she'll just be like, I'll just turn it off. And my kids are all the gamer types, and they enjoy it. But her friends, same thing. They'll sit there, they were like, I don't like games, I don't like this, I don't like that. And she'll be like sitting there chiming in the same thing. While I would basically play whatever I like and stuff. And it's quite refreshing, actually, since, meeting a lot of girls who are gamers on Facebook to have people with those same interests, and it's really appealing. It's really cool, and it's a great thing because we don't segregate. I think the console snob quite recently was seen as there's a person who works with I believe she's on the Happy Console Gamer forum as well, and is on the Exodus Gaming podcast and other forums as well. She's a transsexual gamer, which is another thing. Gaming doesn't discriminate, and it shouldn't do because it's for everyone.
I have a few friends on my Facebook account.
Was that Robert?
Go ahead, Xander.
Oh, I was going to say was, since we're talking about, since we were talking about gaming going mainstream, I will say one thing that's changed over the years is since gaming has gotten more popular. I remember there was a time that I would get a girlfriend or whatever, and she would come over, and I would be so nervous because I'm like, man, she's gonna come in my room and see that I have 26 consoles and 4 bookcases full of video games, and back then I used to always warn them. I'm like, by the way, I like to play video games, and it was almost like telling them something wrong. But now it's just now that it's so modern now, that either the girls are going to like it, or if they don't like it, then I'm just all right, well, screw you, because I like playing video games. It's kind of giving you more of a power endearment of video games now over the years,
Well, I'm amazed by the fact that as a guy who always thought of himself as the scrawny little nerd that nobody liked, that now with the prevalence of nerd culture, the stories of video gaming that John and I have now people are really interested in it. They think it's really cool. They think it's amazing. And back then people were just oh, shut up. Who cares? Nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. So it's amazing to me. Now, and also, with the relationships thing, when Tamara and I got together, I mean, John took us out to a mall in Richmond and basically ditched us together and took off on us. So he introduced us. And we were in a shop looking at laserdiscs for horror movies. I think it was, and I found Puppet Master 2. Wasn't that when I found Puppet? Yeah. And so first of all, she's into looking at horror movies, 80s horror movies, laserdisc. Yay! And she asked about, I played a lot of the old Nintendo.
Yeah, the topic of Nintendo came up somehow.
The topic of Nintendo came up somehow, and she said, did you ever play a game called Blaster Master? And, I'm listening. And she said, I could never beat the crab boss on level 5 because he spits the bubbles and I could never get past him. My mind blew. I just brain sauce everywhere. It was incredible. And I pretty much at that point, I was like, yep, she's the one.
You had me at crab
battle. It was so cool. Yeah, you had me at crab battle.
Crab battle.
And, bonus points for the fact that she's also an animator who's designed both of my tattoos, or all 3 of my tattoos, I should say. And she painted the crab battle from Blaster Master for me for my birthday a while back.
Oh.
So.
That is awesome.
Yeah, dude. So if you check out the Blaster Master review on the Happy Console Gamer page there, I show off the painting. So that was it's super cool, and now we've got a couple of boys that are coming up into video games and stuff. So I'm glad to see the acceptance of video gaming and that kind of stuff into mainstream culture. But it definitely made a very special bond for us. The fact that we're both into horror movies and sci-fi and both books and movies and all that stuff. It's really cool, and I love the Facebook group, and one thing I can really be thankful for with the Happy Console Gamer Show as well is meeting all of the amazing people in this gaming community, because it's...
Well, because I was always a big geek through school, and I could never understand what made games, sci-fi, etc. a guy thing. I couldn't make I couldn't distinguish the difference. Why is this only for guys? It's cool. It's neat creatures and stuff. I didn't understand how it was like, you're in games? Isn't that for boys? I didn't get it.
And so I'm so glad that it's more open now. I'm so glad that there's a bigger community. And you know what? Yeah, I think Miguel's right. I think that it is a growing pain. So hopefully we'll all, make it through and get out the other side, and the trolls will dry up or find something else to get shitty about, and the rest of us can get on with enjoying this pastime that we all enjoy.
It usually happens that way. And as I said, as a father that's raising four little ones myself, they're growing up to be like avid gamers at the moment. My daughters have been playing through games now, unguided. I've got like a little 5-year-old and 7-year-old who can literally just go. They're last game they were playing is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. So they've been playing that like unguided. Nice. When I usually just have to like walk through games with them, and they love it. They love the retro stuff. They love the podcast. They were sitting there talking to me about the theme music and stuff like that. I never show them what's actually, like the actual podcast itself. They love theme music and the stylized T-shirts and the retro and stuff, and they really appreciate it. The great thing about it is they're all sort of encompassing it. A lot of my childhood is kind of sprung to theirs as well, like Power Rangers, for instance. They're huge fans of that. And that's great because I can show my obsession with the Sentai series, like my love of anime, they're getting that as well. My love of film and television, it's all sort of migrating over to them. So they're becoming quite like little versions of me, which helps well. Where it's actually quite funny because their mum keeps getting frustrated for the fact that they do love playing games. They do love watching anime, and they do love basically watching Power Rangers, and she was just like, she had to buy my son like a Red Ranger outfit, and she couldn't distinguish between what Red Ranger. He's like, I want the Samurai Ranger, and she bought him the Mega Ranger, and I had to explain to her why he's upset. And it's great, but it shows that it's something that you can pass on down to your children, because in the same sense, it's become this part of pop culture. It's immersed in it, and it's probably going to stay as part of that, now and forever, hopefully. Travis, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I did. It was kind of interesting how this whole conversation started about how technically how two people meet up, and then like a man and woman, and through a common thing like video games, they get together. At the top of the show, I asked what I was doing earlier today, and I said I was playing Yoshi's Island. That game was actually given to me by my girl Courtney, who lives up in New York City, and I just learned a few weeks ago that she actually bought a copy of House of the Dead Overkill, and this is actually one of my favorite games on the Wii. Yeah, I know, and she's going to be coming down for my birthday at the end of October, and we're going to sit and play that together because this is going to be one of those cool moments. I never thought I'd actually be playing one of my favorite video games with a woman. That I honestly didn't think I'd ever find someone who loved video games as much as I do. And it gives me such a wonderful feeling like, yeah, this is totally the woman for me. Not only the fact because she plays games, she plays the same games as I do. So it's given me a lot of great things to think about in terms of the future.
Right on, man.
You're definitely
That's
gonna
really
have that
cool.
connection.
Lee, you wanted to say something as well?
Yeah, I wanted to mention kind of off topic, but one of the things that I find really unique in a lot of the YouTube shows, and something that Johnny did very well, along with another fellow YouTuber and NES Complex, I really want to see more episodes where you guys just sit down and pull out that old pile of video game magazines and just sit there and talk and reminisce and talk about the different advertisements and seeing certain games. I have a huge collection of video game magazines, and I've thought about going through them and trying to record some videos myself, but I want to see more of those because I really, really appreciate the nostalgic look, the walk back in time, and they're just very, very entertaining videos.
Well, I think that Johnny recently tossed up a little something we tried just for the hell of it, and it was the game chat video where we were sitting out on his patio, and we were just going to sit and have coffee and chat, and he brought the camera out and just set it up for the hell of it and let it run. And amazingly, there's been a lot of positive feedback to that. There may be more of those. Yeah, there may be more of those, and that might be something that we would do with that. It's just, bring out a pile of the old game magazines and shoot them. So that's a very good idea. Thanks for the heads up on that, because that's something that may just happen. So we did the one episode on Game Fan magazine specifically because it was such a great publication. I so miss that magazine so much.
That's my favorite old magazine too.
I have one of these days. I'm gonna have to do a video of my man basement, my video game cave that I've made since we moved. But I've got a bookshelf that's just full of art books and video game magazines, and every once in a while I'll go down there and I'll grab a handful of them and I'll just pull them out and just go through, the ones that had the Killer Instinct on the cover. And the very first Game Fan magazine I ever got, that was volume 2, I think it was issue 5, that announced Mega Man X before it first came out. And the page, if you hold it by the spine, it'll fall open to the Mega Man X review page. Because I stared at that and read it, and I used to just memorize the screenshots. Every time a Mega Man game was coming out, I'd find a magazine and I'd stare at the screenshots and memorize the bosses and memorize the artwork and everything about it. I used to be I was so obsessed with those. And, there's another one that I miss. I miss the magazine era before we had the internet, where once a month you get this massive dump of information on games, and that's it. And Johnny and I used to, it was so cool. We used to get in his car. We hung out every day for like 4 years or something. We hung out every day. Neither of us had jobs. I was just out of high school. He's a few years older than me. But neither had jobs. We had no responsibilities. We lived at home with our parents, and all we did was hang out. And every morning I'd go to his house around 10 in the morning. I'd let myself in. He'd leave his door unlocked in the basement by where his room was. I'd go upstairs and make the tea. I'd start making breakfast. We'd eat, and we'd figure out what we wanted to do for the day. God forbid I should ever remember what it was like to be bored. And and we once a month, we knew the exact day. We'd go down to the Save On Foods, and we'd buy the new Game Fan magazine. We'd each buy a copy of it, and then if there was like a Game Players or something like that there, we'd grab that as well. We'd get back in his car, go back to his place, brew up a huge pot of tea, and then we'd just sit and smoke cigarettes and read the magazines and just, oh my God, did you see the screenshot on this page? Oh my God, that looks so cool. Oh my God, there's an article about that game coming out. And we'd talk for, hours just about what was coming up. And I miss those days, because now you see every step of a game from the moment it's announced all the way to when it comes out, and there's none of that left. Having to wait a month and what if, or can you imagine if it's like this? I remember when they announced Zelda 64 for the bulky drive, for the DVD, and one of the selling points for it was going to be that you would shoot an arrow and it would stick in a tree. It would stay there until you'd finish the entire game. You could always go back and see it. Stuff like that. It would remember things like that. And we'd talk for hours about, can you imagine what you can do with that technology? Can you imagine how amazing a Zelda that immersive would be? I miss that so much.
It's like a lost art. Those advertisements they would have in those old gaming magazines. I mean, some are downright raunchy and just incredibly stupid, but they were so awesome. They really grasped the time in the gamer mentality. Like, I forget the game, but there was this one, I think it might have been Game Fan, but it was this huge robot, and it said, "War is hell, unless you're a 90-foot robot with a rocket launcher. Then it's kind of cool." Those advertisements, man, they just take you back.
Oh, totally. Oh, man, I used to love those kind of ads. And, the pages in the back where they had the import shops, the mail order import shops.
Yes.
Before we had eBay, and you'd stare at those pages and just daydream. Oh.
That's how I found out about Rockman.
Pardon?
I said that's how I found out about Megaman being called Rockman, was looking at the back of the import pages and being like, that's Megaman, why is he being called Rockman? I'm like, oh.
Wait, rock and roll, that kind of jives. I can dig it.
Well, saying that, we've got around about 7 minutes left on the show. I want to get everyone's plugs through. So, Rob Man, I know you've got a bunch of bits and pieces that you want to plug, so plug away.
Okay, oh geez, alright. Okay, please, everyone, check out Happy Console Gamer on YouTube. It's YouTube/Happy Console Gamer. All of our videos are up there. It's just a lot of fun. HappyConsoleGamer.com right now is devoted to the sort of the teaser for the DVD sales, but definitely check that out. We also have a sub-forum on Pete's Game Room Forum for the Happy Console Gamer Show. Feel free to pop in, chat with other fans, and sort of discuss the latest gaming news. Also, Mighty No. 9, the Kickstarter, as of the live airing, still has a couple of days left, and otherwise, when it comes out for the consoles, pick it up, check it out. It should be awesome. There's a lot of information online for it. And also, be sure to check out the 100,000 Strong for Mega Legends 3, because it's just a really good community of really passionate Mega Man fans and a really good solid group. And of course, on Facebook, feel free to look me up under Rob Man. I'm on there. And Twitter, Johnny Millennium is at HCG Show, all one word, all capitals. And you can find me at Robman_world.
And up next, Xander.
All right. Well, I also host a podcast, which I've had Robman on twice. And that's Access Gaming Podcast. You can find it on Podomatic.com, or it's also on iTunes. I also have a YouTube channel that's the Xander Skullion on YouTube. And I'm also affiliated with Game On Network, which you guys can, it's a network of a bunch of just different gamers talking about different things, and that's GameOnNetwork.com/WordPress. You guys can check that out as well.
Lee?
Yeah, the Access Gaming Podcast is actually really fun. I've been on there a couple of times, as Xander said, and it's a really good solid cast. So be sure to check that out for sure.
Lee?
I don't have anything to plug today aside from I cannot wait for Mighty No. 9 to come out. So everyone needs to keep an eye on that and show their support. But what a wonderful show, man! Taking this trip back in time. It's been great. It was good talking to you guys, too.
Travis.
Definitely.
All right. Of course, let's see here. Check out Rose Colored Reviews on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/rosecoloredreviews. I got a new episode coming out this weekend, and it's going to be about Red Dwarf. And I'm going to talk about my thoughts about that wonderful television series. And also, I am one of the co-hosts of Geek Speak Live, which you can find on Mega Powers Radio at 8 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday nights. And in terms of Facebook, just find me on facebook.com/travis.goss.3. I still got to get that fixed. And Rose Colored Reviews has its own Facebook page. It's under facebook.com/rosecoloredreviews. And find me on Twitter at TravisGoss79. And you can always find me here each week on I Got Gameplay as one of the regular co-hosts.
Miguel?
I did forget to mention, Access Gaming Podcast also has a group page. You can just type in capital X space S Gaming Podcast, and you can join the group page. And feel free to post all your YouTube videos, anyone that's listening, or if you want to be a guest on the Access Gaming Podcast, just shoot me a line and we can work something out.
I had a lot of fun when I was on there.
Oh, yeah.
As always, ladies and gentlemen, you can check out Miguel Leon
on fanboysanonymous.com and his articles 90s Kid. He's also a writer for This Job for Hire. Episode 2 will be debuting this Sunday, the 30th, around some time on YouTube, so make sure you stay clear and check out for that. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, tune into Mega Powers Radio for Otaku Nation. That will be this Sunday at 8 PM with myself, Stephen Wago, and also a new guest that we're going to be having on the show, Mr. Jeremy Kahn. And if you're a big fan of Mega Powers, tune in to Geek Speak Live, as stated by Travis here. And also check out the Raw post show that we do at 11 PM every Monday. Sundays we have special pay-per-views. And also check out Keeping Kayfabe, where wrestling's still real to us, damn it. And that's pretty much it from me, guys. Stay tuned to Nerd Genius, youtube.com/The Nerd Genius, www.nerdgenius.com. And also remember, guys, that there is a ton of stuff that we've got going on here. Thank you for your support. Hello, ladies and gents. This is Michael Burhan for Rob Man, for Xander Skullion, for Miguel Leon, for Travis Goss, and for Lee Garasich and Mike Paden, saying that we've got gameplay. Have you?